Up. Axe off.
Do not train to reverse.
Ooh. Yeah. Got cut off a little bit there, it looked like. Yeah, that was a pretty solid. You're doing really good work with the trailers, man.
Oh, thank you very much.
Did you make that little, like, the actual lettering though? Was that didn't look like it was?
It's on Wondershare has a text feature for it.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I was like, I don't recognize that at all. But yeah. So we're here. We're back. How's everybody doing? The crowd will slowly start trickling in. We got some regulars. Rachel Percy art, Eraserhead. But yeah, this is what I've been. This was supposed to be on last year's schedule, actually. This one, and I wanted it to be in. I believe it was supposed to be last year for Martial Arts Month, and I think I moved it for some reason. I can't remember why. But then I was like, let's just try to coincide it as best we can with the new one coming out. And I think that comes out in like 2 or 3 weeks. So this is yeah. But you know, this is it's quite the classic. But I think we need some people to talk about it with. What do you say?
Oh, absolutely. We can't do this by ourselves.
I mean, we probably could, but why would we?
Yeah.
Well, first, making her return to Two-Hose for, I don't know, I can't recall the last time she was on, actually. She was one of the ones that was actually scheduled for this one all along. And she has quite possibly the greatest avatar she's ever had, and that's the Eclectic Goat.
Pulp Fiction was the last one I was on.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah, so like a very long time.
It seems like everyone that you're scheduled for, something like goes wrong. I don't know why. It's like,
yeah, it does seem to be a bit of a jinx, but now we got Karate Kid and we're getting goaty with it.
Yeah, getting goaty with it. Oh man, but yes, another returning person from actually this is his second movie on here in a row that involves a martial arts tournament. That's our buddy from Narrative Arcade, Selvier.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty well.
I think it's my third time now. Yeah.
Third time, but second time in a row where it's a martial art tournament movie. So.
I mean, I grew up with the martial arts movies, so Hong Kong cinema in particular is my favorite brand of cinema, I'd say. So
yeah. You were a late addition to this one too. I asked you, you were like, yes, I love that movie. Yeah. When is it? I was like, in 2 days. You're like, as long as I can watch the movie, I'll come on.
Yeah. I had to check if it's streaming anywhere, and I found it on Netflix, so it's all good.
You know, you can always find it elsewhere. There's actually there was a guy I found on Reddit, and I used I partially used his version to watch. He did a like a fan edit of it where he like fixed the music, cleaned up some of the scenes, added deleted scenes, which we may have a couple of those today. So he might be in the crowd. I told him about the stream. I said, hey, you know, maybe one day I'll get you on if you keep having these awesome fan edits. I have no reason not to bring you on, you know. But speaking of fans, I do have a special guest today, and this guy was pretty much the first. He was in like the first 3 people at minimum, but maybe the first non-family member of mine that ever subscribed to my channel. He's been a fan of Critical Drinker for a long time. He's been on Drinker's channel a few times, and he was one of the first people to actually reach out to me after I was on Happy Hour the first time, because he was on Happy Hour before me. That's Chucksenhausen, who's making his debut. So, and always near a tool bench of some kind whenever he's on a screen. Oh man, it's good to have you on, buddy. It's good. You and me have talked for a long time, and you know, like we were on that stream together for Cobra Kai, and you know, I thought it was only fitting to bring you on for this one.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, that was a crazy day too. I was so busy that morning. Just happy to have made it on there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're one of the more knowledgeable people about Cobra Kai. I'm not sure like when the last time you had watched this was before this stream, but
So the last time I saw this, oh god, it was actually I looked up scenes on YouTube just to like prep myself for this, but
Mhm.
4 years ago, I remember there was like this movie theater out like I don't know, an hour away from where I live where you could just rent out a movie theater for like $100, watch any movie you want. So I just put up an event like on a Facebook page, said we're gonna watch Karate Kid, and yeah, that was fun watching it in theaters. So much better.
It's one of those ones that I kind of wish that, and that's actually a great transition. We can actually start talking about the first time that we saw it, because this is one that I wish I would have seen in theaters. I feel like it has such an epic like soundtrack and stuff that it just would have been really enhanced by being in a theater. But so I guess we'll go around the horn. I'll start with you, Chuck, since you were already kind of going. What was your earliest? Obviously, it's a lot of people aren't. This most of the movies we do are from either before we're born or we were so young, so we don't remember when the first time we saw it. But your earliest memory with the movie?
Trying to think. I think I've seen it as a kid. I'm just, one of my parents had it because that was what 84 when it came out. So I was born in 87.
Yeah.
So I'm sure like my parents like rented out and then probably saw it and then pretty much didn't give it honestly much thought until Drinker recommended it in his video for Cobra Kai. So that's when I started watching the show and then watched the movies and got hooked on ever since.
Selvier, you actually had kind of a interesting story behind the scenes, so why don't you like rehash that one real quick?
No, it's just like so I watched it for the first time now in the original, the English. I only watched the German dub when I was growing up, so it was late 90s. So I was born 89, probably 6 or 7 years old when I saw it the first time, and it was only in German. It was one of those movies that has like a perpetual license for German television, so it runs like 3 times a year. And you always get a German voiceover who sounds a little bit racist to do Mr. Miyagi. That's how they did it back then.
In fairness, Mr. Miyagi's voice in this was caricature anyway. So
look, before I watched this one, I saw that clip going around of Theo Vaughn and Bobby, where Bobby asked him to role play as his father. And then Theo Vaughn sounds like a Japanese samurai out of nowhere. That's the only thing I could hear watching this movie today. So,
well, it's funny because one of the reasons why one of the things that when the movie was being made, they were worried about Pat Morita playing Miyagi because it's a serious character with comedic timing,
especially tragic backstory and everything. So,
but he was primarily known for his comedic work, so they were a little worried about it. And speaking of those known for their comedic work, Eclectic Goat, what was your first or earliest experience with this movie?
I'm known for my comedic work. I really thought I was just kind of the straight man for everyone else's, or the straight goat
That's
for everyone else's.
That's a very important part of comedy, though.
I actually have been trying to remember all week. So unlike everyone else here, this movie is almost as old as I am. But I know that I did not see it in theaters because I lived an hour from the nearest theater and we didn't go very often. I think I probably saw it. I think I saw it at my grandmother's house. I think that, it was one of those cases where parents had something come up and so we just kind of got dropped off at the grandparents and plunked in front of the television. That is the first memory I have of watching it. And since they were not the cool grandparents, it was probably one of the better times I ever had there. They did not have a whole lot of like children's toys in that house. So, but I remember, what is the...
Are you getting abducted by aliens?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the background noise? Somebody's at an airport.
Yeah, sorry. That was some type of motorcycle on my end.
Happens to me all the time. I actually have a window right here. I had to put 2 layers of soundproofing because my neighbor has a motorcycle. Sometimes when I'd be recording, he would just start revving it. I was like, you son of a... And I'd have to sit there for like 10 minutes and not be able to record.
Yeah. We have a guy with a lot of like that.
Go ahead. Keep going, Goat. I'm sorry that kind of cut you off there.
No, that was all right. Yeah, I remember. So I was kind of a sheltered kid, and it was really kind of my first introduction. Yeah, Karate Kid was my first introduction to the fact that there was such a thing as martial arts. And I was absolutely fascinated. And then I used to watch it quite a lot. Over the next several years, and then I don't know, it just kind of dropped into the background until Dark Hour started talking about doing this. And so rewatching it as an adult was kind of a whole new experience just because it had been so long. And there were so many things I noticed that I never noticed as a kid. So
there's a lot of little details that people kind of tend to forget about this movie. I'll go over my favorite little detail that never gets mentioned, but I do want to acknowledge this in the chat real quick. Johnny is not going to be in the new Karate Kid movie. So it was apparently very much an independent project, had nothing to do with Cobra Kai. And so it's only Daniel and Mr. Han, the Jackie Chan's character from the remake, or I guess now it's no longer a remake. It's just kind of in the same world.
Yeah.
I guess retroactively, it's no longer a remake. And it's a brand new
Good move to not include the remake.
Say again?
Good move not to include the remake.
Yeah, well, it is. It's not. They're not using Jaden Smith, but they are using Mr. Han. So it's like they're acknowledging its existence, but kind of, sweeping it away. And I was very upset that at the last scene of Cobra Kai, they didn't have like Jackie Chan's character like call Daniel or something. Like I thought that would have been that was like a perfect opening. They didn't do it, but other than that, the ending to Cobra Kai was really well. I just think that they could have done that, but apparently the next movie takes place before Cobra Kai or something. I don't know. The timeline is really unclear.
Yeah, from what I saw. Sorry, go ahead. For some reason, I thought I'm gonna look it up right now. I swear, like the timeline, like opened up or jumped like several years for the new Karate Kid movie. That's why.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's too far away or something. It's like the timeline doesn't make sense for it, though. I wish that they would have accounted for that and had him call. That would have been a great little way to tie them together.
Yeah.
But they were different production companies. So they probably didn't want to, work together or something. That was one thing that I do know is that the Cobra Kai writers were basically instructed not to do anything that could threaten the next movie. So that's why that's one of the reasons they had to dial back on certain aspects toward the end. But Joe,
my whole thing is when it hits the point where I need a spreadsheet to keep track of the timeline on anything, I just kind of stop watching.
Yeah. This isn't the worst time. Like obviously there's movies where they jump all over the place. This like episode or movie 2 is actually movie 4 and movie 4 is movie 7, and it's like what are you doing? But yeah, I'm excited for that one, but we'll get more into that later. We're talking about this one right now. And Joe, what is your earliest memory with this movie?
Well, I don't know earliest, but this movie does have a special place in my heart. The Cobra Kai was the name of our volleyball team, and our theme was No Mercy. So, yeah, this movie really helped us win in gym class.
I have the Cobra Kai
I see
banner in the back. I should have switched it with the Sonic one for this week, but it's not big deal.
I think maybe your volleyball team took the wrong message from this movie.
I don't know. I think that's up for the chat to debate. Who is the real hero of this story?
As for me, it's funny. I remember so many other random things before I actually saw Karate Kid. I remember there was like that cartoon like from years ago where it was like Miyagi and Daniel being secret agents. And I was like, yeah, it's crazy. It's insanity.
I have never heard of that one.
It's like literally like at one point Daniel like uses surfs on a missile. Like it's crazy. I'll see if I can find clips of it for later. But like I kind of knew a bunch of like periphery things, and I actually think I saw the movies in a weird way because I saw when I was a kid, the one that came out was the next Karate Kid, which is like the worst one. And Yeah, and I remember seeing that, and I was like why do people care so much about these movies? And I didn't watch them for a while, and then when I got a little older, I don't know what age, but I did watch the original one. I was like, oh, I get it now. Okay, now it makes sense. Like that. So it was like that was that was their first attempt when they did the next Karate Kid to try and like bridge the gap of generations. They did a terrible job. They eventually would fix that with Cobra Kai,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was my first experience was actually with the wrong movie, so to say. I'll see if I can find the commercial or something or the intro for the Karate Kid cartoon later. We'll play it at the end of the stream. And yes, Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious. That screws like everything up in that series.
That was the last one that made sense.
If it makes you feel better, Dark Hour, the first Aliens movie I saw was 4.
Sometimes that happens. You see the wrong one first because you're like, sometimes it's because of the name. They'll just a lot of times. What was it? The Thing, when they did the prequel and they just called it The Thing. It's like you can't do that. Like, what are you doing?
Well, like Predators.
Yeah, exactly. It's like sometimes they just give you the wrong one. But that being said, I say we get into this. What do you guys say?
Yep.
All right.
Absolutely.
Once again, I just want to say hello to the chat. We see you. More people will trickle in as time goes on. But we open up in a place that's very familiar to me.
Ugh.
Newark, New Jersey. Oh my God. I can smell it. I can smell this slide. They actually, so we don't have a slide of it, but they do show the Pulaski Skyway, which I used to drive on all the time, and it's one of the worst places you could possibly drive. It's just traffic constantly.
How do you guys feel about? Sorry, if you
go ahead.
How do you guys feel about the opening? Like for me, I felt like they could have just started in LA.
I think it drags a little bit.
Yeah,
I think that they could have skipped a lot of the randomness and just went right to here. It could have been started in New Jersey, all the waving away, all this stuff. They show them driving, and then they just kind of show up here.
Was it because of maybe opening credits? Because I know that's when all the opening credits started.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, maybe that was the decision, but it just drags on, and it doesn't add too much. Everything else after this scene is where the real setup begins, actually.
I think there's a reason that we don't do credits in the beginning scenes anymore because they made every movie drag.
Yeah.
And you've got to find a way to fill the time, but at the same time,
unless it's a sequence like the James Bond movies, I'm like just jump into the story. Like there is a simple rule for screenwriting, like come in late and leave early. That's how you treat every scene. And this one is just like the exact opposite. So it's just dragged on.
It is hysterical that one of his first lines is commenting about, he doesn't want to go to California because he doesn't like smog, but he's just come from New Jersey. So
New Jersey's not actually known for smog. We have we don't really have the
every shot we see in LA is like beautiful blue skies and like there is no.
They show
smog.
Newark. It's like if he would have been in the beach area of New Jersey, but then it's like he goes to the beach area of California. It's honestly, it's definitely an improvement, at least from. Trust me, you don't want to live in Newark, New Jersey. That's one of the worst. And if you're driving and you see like, don't ever confuse Newark and Newark, Delaware. Please don't do that. Like, do not just go and get out of your car in Newark and be like, we're in Delaware. Don't do it. But, let me just hold on. I like zoned out there for a second. I have my slide list here. So they obviously they travel from New Jersey to California in that extended intro sequence, and Daniel's not very happy about this. So they have a little conversation about that. But by the way, I do want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, the madres. This is a great slide for that. This is actually a very much a movie. It gets played down toward the end, but a lot of the beginning of it is his relationship with his mother as well. About the halfway point, it sort of switches to fully Miyagi, but there is a lot to do with the mother early on.
That's the only argument you might make for the intro is that she does a lot of like very optimistic chatter, and it does really set her up as a character.
She pretty much falls off after the bike throwaway scene. About what was that, like maybe like 40 minutes into the movie, when like after that she slowly disappears.
Why did they move? Was it because of work for her?
Work.
Yeah, so she
Okay.
she's supposed to get a job with a computer company of some kind, but that I can never remember if there's a line where they say she doesn't get it, because then she starts like working at a Chinese restaurant. It's really weird.
Well,
Mhm.
she
I don't know.
says, I don't know. She says that she's gonna be trained as a manager, and that the benefits are better than she could get working at the computer place.
Yeah, it's really, it's like a weird transition. Like she basically doesn't get the computer place job, and she just decides to become a manager of a Chinese restaurant. I don't really understand it.
But
I
I mean
think there
that
might have been something in the script that was removed that we didn't hear.
It sounds like sounds like
It's like
The-
a different cut of it.
Yeah.
it does make the unfailing optimism as they're driving cross country does like explain away a little bit how she can go from like, yeah, I was going to get this great job, to now I'm managing a Chinese restaurant, but really here are the silver linings to, not getting the job I was supposed to get and living in a dump.
Yeah, and that's actually one thing. So like we start to see, the whole ride she's promising him, oh, wait till you see this pool, and then wait till you see we're not moving to a dump, and they are moving to a dump. I
It's a
actually
dump.
This is the one sequence, and I always tell people that, one of the things that people always say about this is, oh, he would never win the fights because he was just trained for like a week. And they actually do set it up multiple times. He does have karate training. He just doesn't have the greatest. He was like basically a part-time karate student. He went a couple nights a week. He practiced with books, which they show later. So he doesn't have zero basis. He's just not as, he doesn't go every day like the Cobra Kai guys do. That's pretty much what it is.
Plus, he's pretty
and then-
scrappy too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's from New Jersey. We're all scrappers out here. It's like, but so he does meet this dude who he kicks in the face accidentally. I forget this guy's name off the top of my head. It's like,
I dislike this character a lot because it
Oh,
just
he's
feels,
a douchebag.
well,
Really?
I love the shirt he's wearing.
Well, I'm thinking about the movie Never Back Down, where the best friend was used as a tool that the bully beat up. So the
Evan
main
Peters.
character,
Yeah.
yes,
Evan Peters'
exactly. So when I
character.
saw this, it's been a while since I've seen it. I was like, oh, is he going to get beat up by Johnny and then revenge plot? But he kind of just goes away after the barbecue on the beach. It seems.
Yeah, he shows up again at like the soccer practice.
Yeah.
And you see him in the crowd in the final fights. But he doesn't really play. I forget it. Let me put it this way. I just watched the movie again last night, just as a refresher, and I can't. And he says his name, and I still can't remember it. That's how like unimportant he is in the long run.
I feel like he's there to sort of avoid some of the 80s tropes. I mean, the trope to this is, guy moves against his will to California. Immediately everything goes to crap. Everything about his life is terrible from day one. And what happens here actually is that he's not happy about moving, but things start to look really good really quickly. He meets this crazy old lady he really likes. He makes a new friend who helps him out immediately. He meets a girl he likes. And so it's actually the loss of those things as opposed to just, yeah, everything about California is terrible.
Well, this woman is also from New Jersey. She mentions that immediately, that she can sniff her own.
Yeah, I can smell my own.
Yeah. From Parsippany, which is actually where I used to corner MMA fights for a while at the Parsippany PAL. They used to have amateur fights. I used to corner for those a lot. And but I think this woman, she looks familiar. I think she's isn't she like the grandmother from Happy Gilmore?
She's been a lot of
Yeah,
things.
I think so. Yeah, you might be
I
right
think
there.
that is her.
Huh.
But yeah, so she basically says it's a dump. He's not happy with it, and he goes to fill the water bowl, and it's the faucet is broken, so he could give water to the dog. And she basically, the old woman essentially tells him, like, go back to New Jersey. You don't want to be here.
Moving here was the worst thing I ever did.
But what it does is it's a soft open for us to meet Mr. Miyagi, because they obviously need the faucet fixed, and he's the handyman in this really weird place where they put his shack. It's like on the outside of the building, but like facing the dumpster. It's a very, very weird spot. But Miyagi's in here doing his. I think he was at this point. He was trying to do the flies with the chopsticks.
Chopsticks. Yeah, he was doing it now.
Yeah, it's and he, yeah, here it is. Okay, and he gets interrupted, and then Daniel's like, "Well, we need it fixed." He's like, "Don't worry, I'll fix it." I don't think he fixes it for like 2 days though.
Yeah,
like,
he's really, when you think about it, he's really a terrible handyman. I mean, like
yeah,
the pool is green. I mean, it's not like he needed to be told that needed fixing. He doesn't show up for 2 days, and he spends his time sitting here trying to catch flies with chopsticks.
I think it's supposed to. They never outright say it, but it's supposed to show that he's also just beaten down by life and doesn't care about anything that much until he sees how many beatings Daniel is getting. I think
he just does this to fill his time, to be honest with you, because he has like he has like veteran benefits and stuff, and he has a property he lives on that I'm assuming is paid off completely because of the amount of work that's put into it and stuff. And I mean, go ahead.
No, I just mean that the place that they spruce up with Daniel later on, where all the cars are, like it looks run down in the meantime. So maybe it's like, Daniel brings some life into his life.
Yeah, and that's another thing. He also has multiple like classic cars. It's like I think he literally just does this because he's bored. I don't think that there's much to it other than that.
Okay.
He's just filling his day with hobbies, fixing sinks and doing bonsai trees, and
he's not really here for the money.
Yeah, like I don't think he needs the money. I don't think that's really what it is. But Daniel goes. Oh, go ahead. I can go back.
I was gonna say I like that how going into this movie was like, wow, Mr. Miyagi, he's so righteous and knowledgeable, and now we're talking about it's like, wow, he's the laziest person in the world. The pool is terrible. This man's just snipping bonsai trees all day. Like, what do you do, Miyagi?
I don't think he's lazy. I just think he's not a very good handyman.
Yeah, I mean
that's a problem. If you're a handyman,
he's literally a former like a war veteran with PTSD. Who we would go on to find out in Cobra Kai had a criminal record and fought and killed someone in a martial arts tournament a few years after the war.
Wow.
In Cobra Kai you find that out that he was the last person to accidentally kill someone during the Sekai Taikai.
Accidentally.
Well, yeah, it was. He beats him to death, but it's like because there was no medical attention and stuff. It was a tournament in 1952 or something like that. They said I forget what year it was, but and no, he was a World War II veteran. It's Eraserhead. They make a point of that. So his family gets interned while he's fighting. In World War II.
The World War I vet thing is a joke. It's from when we were watching Carnival and Sammy thought the whole time the guy was a World War I vet and totally missed the fact that he in fact was having visions.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that.
No, there is absolutely no reason you should have. He's picking on Sammy, who I think is also in the chat.
Okay, so with that being said, he gets invited he did get invited to a party. I did fail to mention that. Which apparently this party like starts in the morning when they're playing soccer on the beach and goes all the way up until, later that night, but it's where he meets Allie, played by a incredibly beautiful Elizabeth Shue at this point. She was, and I could say that even though she's playing a high school kid, she was 21. I checked it before I made any of these comments.
Why was she casted then?
What?
Why was
everybody back then would be cast as high school was early 20s. It was very rare that you had teenage actors. Even Ralph Macchio, I think, was in his early 20s at this point.
22.
Well, 22 at the release of the film. So during filming, probably 21.
Yeah.
Daniel looks so much younger than all the others, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that his voice sounded like he hasn't hit puberty yet.
Yeah,
well, he's always looked young though. His face has always looked young. He's gained and lost weight over the years. But until very recently, he didn't look that much older. I met him at Comic-Con in 2021. So it was because it was during the pandemic. I remember because I was shocked he took the picture with the masks off. And I'm back. This is my channel. Bosch. So I would be back.
Did you go?
Apparently I left my own channel. But yeah, so he didn't really start looking older until relatively recently. But yeah,
I was sort of shocked he was supposed to be 17 and like everyone else was supposed to be 17. I was like, I really thought this was going to be a case of like seniors in high school beating up the 14-year-old or something because he just looks so young.
It's actually funny because his birthday occurs before the All Valley, so technically he's illegally in the tournament because it's the All Valley under 18 tournament.
So, the point in favor for Johnny again.
I mean, there are so many things about that tournament that are wrong. So,
but like I said, so this party apparently doesn't really have a really good set of time frame, like a good set time frame here, because it starts in what appears to be the morning, and then it's all of a sudden it's just nighttime. Which that's when, you know, we see Daniel and Allie keep getting closer throughout the day. She had also shows, this is important because it shows that he's really into soccer, because that's going to play a role very soon. And, you know, he's helping out. And then that's when our real hero shows up, Johnny Lawrence.
I was just going to say that the star of the movie shows up.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, like it's very upsetting to me because, you know, he sees that this bullshit is happening, and it's very, you know, I have a clip that just shows you how, and there's no sound of this one, so you can unmute yourself after. That's just Shift A if you want to use your keyboard. But yeah, so where is it? So yeah, we you know, we see he shows up, and this punk from Jersey is just over here, just moving on his girl, and this is a reaction anybody would have. To be honest with you, I don't know why they're you know, like just is anyone else unmuted besides me?
Well, except I was going to say, except that this is another trope they break, is that there are a lot of movies where, you know, the bully
radio back, and then he gets attacked. He just defends himself, and then for his troubles, you know, he goes to help him up, and he gets fucking punched in the face. Like, what is going on here?
Typical Jersey.
No, in all seriousness, I do have the real clip. I recut that one specifically to be.
But yeah, they've apparently broken up like weeks before.
Yes, yeah, we can talk about it for a second before we go into the real clip, which has sound.
Heal. Not everyone gets over it that fast.
I had a lot of fun clipping that in a specific way to make Daniel the villain in that scene. Like, it was but yeah, so I mean, I'll play the one with sound so we can actually talk about it afterwards. So.
Have enough? Okay, man. Now we're even, huh?
I do like how he tries to be like, we're even. Like, here you go. Come on. Like, it's Allie with an I. Because she's no ally. So
she's the catalyst of all these problems.
Go ahead, Goat.
Oh, I was going to say, I do think that Daniel, like, ends up asking for some of the issues he gets into.
No, I agree with that. He does definitely bring a lot of this on himself.
I mean, yes, Johnny is probably a little bit insane.
Oh, he
and
is.
definitely, you know, tries too hard to like please his dojo sensei. But like Daniel is kind of his own worst enemy in several points throughout this movie.
So there's and Chuck, you can back me up on this, because there is very few characters in the history of movies that ever got a redemption arc quite like Johnny Lawrence. He might actually have the greatest redemption arc in the history of like movies and television. I would put it up there. Because they do a really good job of repairing him as a character after the fact. You find out, you know, he was very much similar to Daniel, that his father died when he was young as well. He has a real like a shitbag stepfather who treats him like garbage. He needed a father figure. He latches on to a guy who he shouldn't have in John Kreese. And there's a lot of things that they do in Cobra Kai that really fix him as a character. And I have a couple of the deleted scenes, which I was actually able to get past the completely because they were like not even on anything. They were only released relatively recently, which showed him as more of a psychopath than he actually than they do show him in the movie. But they downplayed how crazy they tried to make him in this movie.
Really? Like, how crazy was one of the deleted scenes?
You'll see. It's
Okay.
They tried to make him a Stephen King bully.
Oh god.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, they tried to. But yeah, this had it just been this scene, this could have been chalked up to, hey, he's mad. He's just went through a breakup and he sees this guy basically moving in on his ex. It gets worse as time goes on. But if it would have just been this and Daniel would have just been backed off, yeah, he would have been a shithead. But the headband makes my head look smaller. Can you highlight that one for?
Yes, I can. Who is this guy?
That's Blue Collar Loser for $1.99, telling me that it almost makes my head look smaller. I do actually have, my head has grown quite a bit over the years. It's gotten, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, so I had one more clip of one more thing. But yeah, so the next morning after the beat down, he's wearing sunglasses trying to leave the house, and he basically refuses to take them off. And his mother she senses immediately that something's up with him, and it's because he looks like this now.
I love this scene.
I do want to point out the very Gen X thing of he leaves early in the morning for a pancake party, and she goes to bed that night having no idea where he is. She's like, "Hey, I didn't even hear you come in last night."
Yeah.
I was like, that is the most Gen X of Gen X.
You were saying, Sylvia?
No, I did something similar. I broke my collarbone as a kid and tried to hide it because I got in a fight and fell off a bike, I think, when I ran away.
That's what he did, according to his story, is he keeps falling off his damn bike.
It's a bit more difficult to hide a broken collarbone because one arm is longer. Because
that I've heard that. I've never broken my collarbone. I've separated ribs from my spine, which was extremely painful. But I've heard that the collarbone is one of the most painful ones because it immediately, like you said, it pulls down immediately and it puts a bunch of pressure. Yeah. I've heard that's of all the bones in your body to break, that's one of the most painful. But yeah, so
it takes a lot to heal, and you have to sleep like this, for 3 months. They give
I can only imagine. I would assume you would have to basically immobilize it at all times for it to heal. Yeah. But yeah, so she's not, he tries to write it off as he fell off his bike, which I don't even know how this would have happened if you fell off. That's very clearly you got punched in the eye. I don't know what scenario.
Well, it's a 17-year-old story or explanation of what happened.
And she kind of believes it too, a little bit, I think.
For a little bit, yeah.
But yeah, well, she does because one of the things that they show about her is that she's very much just wants things to be right, and she's willing to ignore the negatives as long as it plays into her, ideal. That's her character flaw. They unfortunately, like I said, they kind of use it up a little too early. I guess when she does kind of disappear, she's just off doing managerial training for the Chinese restaurant. She just.
I mean, you could have, if you started the movie right at them arriving in LA, you could have dragged that a little bit more out, almost towards the midpoint, because that's when basically Miyagi takes really over. It's like at the 42-minute mark, he asked him to train him, so it takes a while.
It's a little bit, it's a little shy of the halfway point.
Yeah.
But I do think that one of the reasons why her character, I think you just hit the nail on the head, because they do so much of her characterization in that drive.
Yeah. And
it shaves 5 to 10 minutes off of her characterization.
Just one rewrite, just fixing that little thing would have added a lot.
But so the next day, you know, obviously they've already shown that Daniel is a proficient soccer player. You know, he was showing Allie how to do the juggle and stuff. And, you know, he tries out for the soccer team because it makes sense. And the Cobra Kais are not, you know, don't allow that shit because they beat the hell out of him. How the coach doesn't see any of this and just sees the fight, I don't understand. But
I can answer that. I once got sent to a principal office because I fought back against a bully that has been bullying me the entire year, and the teacher only saw me throw one punch and didn't see me get bullied the entire year until that moment.
yeah, that's
And then isn't later on the teacher yells at Daniel, right? Because
well, it's the coach, but here's the thing: is this is why I get what you're saying, because teachers have this there is a tendency for them to not catch those things. The coach, so this is a soccer tryout, right? Or a football tryout for you, Sylvia.
It's fine.
And so this is where the ball is. The coach should be watching exactly what's going on. He should be watching the tryout. What the hell was the coach actually watching?
He was smoking a cigarette in the back.
Yeah, probably.
Well, isn't he talking to someone else and someone else says, "Hey, look at what this kid is doing"? So, like, the only reason he even saw the fight is because someone else makes a point of making sure he sees the fight. And I assume
probably why their team sucks.
I assume when they're doing tryouts, he's probably got multiple people doing multiple things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would just assume that somebody would have been physically watching the ball during the tryout. That's just me. I don't know. That happened. The dude, I can't see who's it says double. There we go. Oh, it's Boosh.
Oh, sorry.
That happened. Dude harassed me repeatedly, hit me, slammed a stapler into my hand. I hope that it wasn't like a staple like went into your hand. Holy shit. Like, I hope that wasn't the case. I was never really in any fights. I mean, I almost got in one when I was in middle school, and it was a kind of similar thing. Douchebag that like tormented me for a long time, and I decided that I was just kind of done with it. I saw him like messing with somebody else. I like pushed him like over his, like I literally like tabletopped him over a desk, and he got up and said something. I went to go punch him in the face, and his buddy like tied up my arm, and I couldn't like extend the punch, and I got removed from that class basically. The vice principal, I remember that conversation essentially said like, "Hey, my hands are kind of tied, but like I get it." So like went kind of lenient on me. Only gave me like the very bare minimum of what she could. She had known that kid was a douchebag and like understood what was going on, but her hands were tied. He didn't physically strike me, and I pushed him over. So it was, you know, in hindsight, I realized that I was at that moment the aggressor. But it sucks. It sucks because a lot of times that shit happens, and you don't want it to, but it does.
Yeah.
Oh, at least this Bush's story has a happy ending to it, though.
Several staples. I kicked the crap out of him after my week suspension. Got detention for a week. Why did they give you detention after the suspension? That's weird. Did it again. Got out of detention and took me out of the class. Yeah, so it sounds about the same. So this is finally when Miyagi decides he's going to fix the sink, and he finds Daniel practicing karate from a book. He has a great line in here that shows how observant he is, because he uses Daniel uses the exact same line about like I fell off my bike, but he notices that Daniel's hands have no markings on them, which is, you know, obviously he can also tell someone's like practicing karate in their living room like this. They're probably getting bullied,
Getting ready for revenge.
Yeah. But yeah, he finally this has to be at minimum 2 days later after the
he's busy catching flies all day. He's a busy man.
So, you know, the next day he's at school, and him and Allie get lunch. And actually, this is one of the deleted scenes that I was able to procure. This has sound. It got under the copyright. So this is a treat for everybody if you haven't seen this scene. This might be a brand new experience for you all.
You gotta watch where you sit next time. Probably your only pair of pants, huh? Don't even think of it, worm.
Wow.
As you can see,
not see that.
That's because it wasn't like ever in the movie. It's just
Yeah,
kind of
wow.
like got leaked in recent years. It was fairly, as you can see, it was a fairly incomplete scene. They didn't even touch it up or anything, and some of the sound didn't even sync up properly. Actually, I cut off part of it. There's just there's like 20 seconds of just you hear struggling and fighting noises with a black screen. So it was but yeah, that was they actually referenced that in Cobra Kai. That scene. That's why it was released eventually.
I could see why they didn't add it, because I like the idea where Daniel doesn't fight back, so that scene would kind of ruin a little bit of that for me.
I disagree. I would have kept that scene in, because so one teenager has no father and the other one has a really bad father with Kreese. So obviously they'll rile each other up, and it's just going to keep going until somebody teaches them a better way to deal with it. So I would have kept it. For me, it actually works.
But it shows that he fights back, and I don't know.
Yeah, but he
doesn't just fight back there. Isn't he the aggressor? I mean, yeah, the guy sticks stuff
Daniel's
on his
always
plate.
the aggressor.
I mean, he does the same. He reacts equally. Like, he does the same to him as well. First,
I don't think you realize how expensive that shirt was. That was very expensive.
He messes up his shirt. I glanced down for a second. Did I miss Johnny?
Can we watch it again? Who threw the first punch?
Yeah, I mean, I can put it up again. It's not long. It's not particularly long.
Hi guys. Hi Daniel.
Jerk! You gotta watch where you sit next time. Probably your only pair of pants, huh? Don't even think of it, worm.
I would have.
Yeah, he doesn't throw a punch there. He looks upset. He looks like he might throw a punch.
Yeah.
And then Daniel tackles him. Daniel is definitely the one who turns it physical.
Yeah, but I think it adds to the problem that they both need a father figure, a proper one.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I'm saying if the point is to make Johnny out to be the very blatant bully, it doesn't work well, because Daniel is the one that takes it to the next level in that scene.
Johnny should have beaten him like a Sunday morning boner. Okay, enough. And on that note, that's the end of the stream. I think. I don't think I'm going to top that line.
Comments on our chat.
I think one of the reasons why. So, like, if you see where it would have been placed in the movie, it's definitely a weird transition. So they have the lunch sequence, where it's him buying lunch for Allie. Then there would have been that sequence, and then this one where he's in the restaurant with his mom. It's 3 straight food scenes.
Yeah, maybe also that. Yeah, that's probably the same discussion that they had in the editing booth.
Yeah, and probably would have was probably the reason. But here he's kind of having the discussion with her. Did we
I love this shot. They don't.
Yeah,
do
did
that.
we lose some of the slides here? I feel like we skipped the scene.
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
I think this is where it turns out that she's decided to manage the restaurant instead.
Yeah, but he's supposed to go in and check the. Did I maybe forget a clip?
No.
Yeah, he's supposed to go into the school, and that's where he finds out that this is Cobra Kai over here.
No, it's next. Next one. Right now he knows things.
Oh no, so I think these are backwards. I think that's what it is. This slide should be after this one. That's what it is. Yeah, so he goes over. Yeah, okay. So that's what it is. The slide is just out of place. Oh. So he goes over to, what he doesn't know it's Cobra Kai at the time. And, you know, he goes in there and he finds out very quickly that this is where everybody that's been bullying him is, especially Johnny, which that is, there's something about the smile he puts on in this scene. It always creeped me out every time I watch it. It's like he just hits this perfect, you know, smugness level.
Is there a reason why this actor wasn't in everything after this movie? He kind of dropped off after Karate Kid, right?
Again, with now someone's being arrested outside of Chucksenhausen's place. But no, so he did do some stuff afterwards. He did modeling for a while. They actually referenced that in Cobra Kai as well, his modeling era.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah.
What's the name of? Sorry, go ahead.
Say again.
Oh, I was just gonna say I remember it in season 2. Remember when they were when Johnny was trying to get on to dating again, and Miguel helps him through the online dating, and they started to show old pictures of him modeling to post.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those were literally his modeling pictures from real life that they used. That's so smart. One thing about Billy Zabka, so he was in a few movies, but he always kind of ended up being the same douchey high school bully. I think wasn't he also in was he in Back to School? Was that him? Was he in that movie? I don't know. I think so. Let me see. I'll look it up real quick. But he was basically he actually was of the people from this movie. He was the only one that kept practicing karate. Like the rest of them all just kind of stopped. Let me see. What William Zabka and then he did kind of just leave acting for the most part for a while. I'm just gonna look it up real quick on my phone. I'm not gonna pull it up on my.
Because you would think after a role like this, you would think he would be the de facto.
Yeah, he was in Back to School. He was in Back to School. He was in. Yeah, I mean, he was in some things in the '90s. He just didn't do a ton. Like he would do like a movie, a couple guest spots on a television show for a little while. Smaller movies. Yeah, he didn't. He didn't completely disappear from acting, but he didn't. His career didn't take off like you would have expected.
That's kind of disappointing that he's not in the next Karate Kid movie. That'd be like the perfect time to put him back in it.
Well, he had a whole ass television show, so I think that
maybe it might be a secret cameo or something that they're just hiding, like Marvel.
I mean, that could happen. You never know. That could happen. But yeah, so so actually, this would have. I'm gonna go back. This would have been the slide that should have been after the. So as you can see in the background, that's the Cobra Kais coming out of class. They see Daniel in the restaurant, and then they kind of hatch this plan, which is right here, to chase him down and run him off the road, and actually give him that bike accident he keeps bragging about. So now he actually does have a bike accident.
You're right. They're like Stephen King villains, where they're just the worst people ever.
Yeah, he's honestly though, like this is kind of where you know I can defend some of the things, and I go like, he's they're like high school bully. They legitimately try to kill him here. Like this isn't like, you know, mess him up a little bit. This is like run you off the road with no helmet. This is yeah. He somehow gets less messed up by this than the fight, though. Like, you'd think he would be like, he'd have broken bones and shit from this.
Does this mother question this injury as well, or does she just say, "Oh no"?
Yes, she
does. And this is where she can't hide from the fact that things aren't going well for him anymore.
Yeah, so this is when she pulls back up, and here it is. I mean, we don't have a slide of it, but he's throwing the bike into the dumpster, and she finally is like, "What's going on?" His fault for not wearing it. Yes, actually, this is also Daniel's fault. He should have been. I
love how the chat is just so anti-Daniel with everything.
I'm sorry, this was the '80s. No one wore a helmet.
Yeah. Well, mostly because all of them were those stupid banana helmets. Like they didn't have like the cool ones that like went over your head and like hugged the whole thing. But yeah, so she sees him throwing out the bike. And she doesn't believe the bike accident. Well, he doesn't even try. Well, he's not on a bicycle though. He's on a dirt bike. He's wearing like but then again, Johnny is being an upstanding citizen in that instance. Daniel should get a ticket for not wearing
Again, in the
helmet.
1980s, the fact that Johnny is wearing a helmet is to just show how uncool he is. Because this was a Gen X thing. Nobody wore helmets. Bikes, motorcycles, dirt bikes, nobody wore helmets.
Hey, look, I mean, his head is clearly in pain. If only he wore that helmet right there. That's
Yeah.
So that's what happened. He got a concussion, and the rest of this movie's just in his mind.
This movie's in his head. Yeah. He's actually just at the bottom of that hill forever, just concussed the whole rest of the movie. Rachel. But yeah, so they're arguing, and they're basically arguing right outside of Miyagi's little hut here, and he overhears it. Goes and retrieves the bike, by the way. Go ahead.
Why is he there?
Hey, he's just there not doing his job.
But no, but does he, because I see he has the other house, though. Does he also live in this little shack, too?
I mean, he might, like, for maintenance hours, he might have to stay there until, like, 9 p.m. or something like that. You got to think that if he's the only maintenance guy, he probably has at least a couple of days where he has to be there later for people who would be home later, kind of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What I was reminded of rewatching this was when I was in college, there was this one professor that even when there were weekend activities going on and there were no professors anywhere, you would find him just wandering around the building smoking cigarettes. And it took me a couple of years to realize it was just that he didn't want to go home.
Oh no.
I mean, well, that could be it too. I mean, it might be that he's just avoiding home because it's lonely there anyway. Because when he finally does go back, it's with Daniel.
Sense, yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like, it does feel like he's a broken shell as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like he
is
through Daniel. He regained some new faith in everything. So I think it works story wise. And also, I think.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say this guy needs to be booted from the chat.
Yes. Who said that? James Woolard? No, you don't understand. He did nothing wrong. But I do 100% agree with you that one of the reasons why the Daniel Miyagi dynamic works so well it was because they're both improving each other. It's not just one-sided.
Yeah, I would say it's Miyagi kind of learns again that he has to be a father as well. It's like Daniel needs.
Well, he never got to be the father.
Well, that's what I mean.
Thing.
It's like it reminded me a little bit of Last of Us, that relationship a little bit where he has to get back into the role of, even if he was supposed to be one. So
minus Miyagi getting beat to death by a golf club.
Yeah, minus.
Yes.
He
would have bent the golf club. He would have been like,
that'll be a hell of a deleted scene.
He'd be like, drive on, drive off. That's what we do.
Yeah.
But but there is, aspects to Miyagi that I do love. The fact that he himself is flawed, but they hide it a lot. They keep. He's very stoic about his flaws, and they come out in moments, like when he's drunk. We'll get to that obviously later. He hides them for the most part, and it's also another thing about Daniel is you find as we go on through the movies and then through Cobra Kai, he really does become like the son. And I don't just mean that like from the relationship, like he's the one who carries on Miyagi's family legacy, like
the heir
through.
Yeah.
So there's more to it than just, he's treating him like a son. He like literally might as well have adopted him.
Yeah, but this is why I think the opening scene where he just doesn't fix the faucet immediately. I think that's supposed to show that he's just slacking. He's not he's not taking his responsibilities serious until he has a new purpose through Daniel.
I also think that there's a subtlety that because people keep calling him Miyagi throughout the movie, and I think it pisses him off that nobody pronounces his name right. And this scene is where he finally corrects Daniel. Daniel goes to thank him because he fixed his bike. We didn't see the bike, but he fixes it. And, he goes in there, he keeps calling him Mr. Miyagi. And yep, Miyagi. So he was slaughtered just trying to live a peaceful life until a derp from New Jersey moves.
Perfect way to sum this movie up.
How did I put the I had the way I described the movie. I don't even remember. I'll read it afterwards. But yeah, so he goes to visit with Miyagi, and Miyagi teaches him the finer arts of clipping, of trimming your hedges, of manscaping. This is the first time he shows him fatherhood right here. He's like, nobody wants to tumbleweed.
Brings me back to days of my dad.
I can't even hold my own shit on that one. Yeah, see, it's like, look, you do it like this, son. You just trim back, and it makes the stump bigger.
Anyway, what's supposed to be a wholesome scene,
and the mom walks.
You have tell him that you're doing.
What are you doing? What are you doing, Daniel? Miyagi showed me how to trim my bush.
Why does it look like a lightning bolt?
I wish I would have came up with this earlier. That way I wouldn't be laughing at it now. Okay. Oh man. Anyway, yes, it is a wholesome scene. It's one that I just ruined. I know. Get some locks, Miyagi.
You know, I am actually a little bit surprised that Daniel, after getting beat up, why does he kind of continuously be around this girl when it's clearly
he does mention multiple times that he's kind of stupid for doing it, and that's one of the reasons why I was a little upset that they break up in like at the beginning of the second movie. It's like he goes through all this shit, he gets kicked constantly, and then they break up.
Wasn't it in the second one she ends up going to UCLA and starts dating the quarterback?
Yeah, something like that.
Well,
So she dated Troy Aikman.
Yeah, she
for those who know American football.
Yeah, it's actually that's yeah, you're right. Holy shit, you're right. It would have been Troy Aikman. Wow.
That would have been an upgrade.
It's probably the most realistic thing in any of the movies, though, because how many high school relationships last everybody going to college in different places?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is though, the shit that he puts up with just to like have school like it wasn't overpriced, but like shitty school lunch with her. He gets his ass kicked like 10 times so they can they could sit at the cafeteria table together, and then she's like, "Nah, you don't play football. You play that other football." And also, you trim your bush with a weird Asian guy. I don't understand why you do that. But I like lost my own train of thought. I don't even know where I am in my notes. Yeah, we'll just go. We'll just keep with the bush trimming scenes. Let's go with that.
I have many.
Oh, okay. Now I remember where we are.
Halloween party or something.
Yeah. So yeah, Allie and they're prepping for the Halloween party, which is something that Daniel wasn't going to go to because he doesn't want to be seen in public. At this point, he's really trying to avoid the Cobra Kais, and just not be out in public. But Miyagi comes up with a really ingenious way to let him go to it by making him the most ridiculous costume ever in the history of movies. A shower. Like, I don't want to be seen, so I'm going to make the largest fucking costume possible, and everyone's going to wonder who you are. And for you to even be able to see where you're going, you're going to have to open the thing anyway.
Miyagi was not helping him out with this at all.
Yeah. He was like, I have an idea. How about we make you more obvious?
It's still creative, though.
I'm trying to figure out what Elizabeth Shue is supposed to be, what Allie's supposed to be. At first, I thought, like, with the outfit, I thought she was like a blonde version of Princess Leia, but now, like, seeing it again, it's not what she was. I don't know, but basically,
you have a clip of her in the costume, like.
No, with the next clip isn't until the skeleton scene. This is where Daniel really does himself no fucking favors whatsoever. By the way, this would never work. Look at that kink in the hose right there. So he
says
a whore. Yeah, I guess. But so Daniel does himself absolutely no favors with this scene. Johnny is rolling a joint in the bathroom, and Daniel takes it upon himself to douse him in water for some reason, which ruins the joint. I mean, come on. That's the thing he was really pissed off about.
And his Walkman, which was a big deal in the 80s.
Yeah, honestly,
yeah.
that probably would have that had a chance of possibly electrocuting. Like,
That would be a hell of a twist ending. He goes to jail for murder.
mm-hmm. And now, like, and this is where the costume really. Well, first of all, I love Black Spot. Miles Morales over here.
He predicted it perfectly.
They had it right. This guy's great. He sees a guy run past him, and then Johnny chasing after him, and goes, "Hey, Johnny, what's up?" It's like it was definitely ad-libbed or something, because that's no way somebody wrote that in the script.
This
so yeah,
is
he causes
crazy right here.
He causes a multi-car pileup trying to escape, and gets chased down. Which I think this is where we have the next
There's a clip, yeah. No sound.
Yeah, it doesn't have sound, so you can unmute yourself. And gets exactly what's coming to him for the most part. I mean, this if anything, this is not enough, in my opinion.
Why is he a football player in a shower outfit? So he has like two outfits.
So he was wearing that jersey in the scene prior when they were making the costume. That's just what he was wearing for the day. What I've always thought that it was a pretty bad. So I don't know what at the time they would have been the San Diego Chargers. They wouldn't have been. They wouldn't have been the LA Chargers yet. So why he has a San Diego Chargers jersey when he's from New Jersey? He should have a Giants or a Jets jersey. Whoever was in the costume department for that scene really dropped the fucking ball.
Yeah. He was just trying to fit in.
He's trying to fit in by not having the local team.
I don't know. I think this is where we really start to see how nuts Johnny is. I mean, when even his own people are like, hey, he can't even stand up. You just got a little bit wet. Like, maybe he's had enough.
And that's Bobby. Bobby is he's pretty much the voice of reason of Cobra Kai. You have Johnny, who's like the leader. You have Dutch, the blonde one, played by Steve McQueen's son. I don't remember but he's like the real, he's the hothead. Like, do you think Johnny's a hothead? Like, yeah. Dutch is the real hothead. And
I know. We'll get to his scene later.
Yeah. And Tommy is kind of like the sycophant. Like, he just kind of he wants to be Johnny. They actually talk about that in Cobra Kai as well, how he lost to Johnny in one tournament, and from that point forward he just always felt inferior. So
damn, everyone has such deep backstories in this.
So most of these backstories didn't show up until much later, though. That's the thing, is they had to incorporate all of these backstories to make Cobra Kai even work. If you just had if you just had a show about these shallow villains that barely had anything going for them, you would have had maybe 2 seasons, but they wanted to stretch it out as much as they could. Bobby, and even in this, does clearly, and they did a really good job by making him into a preacher, like a pastor in the in Cobra Kai, because he tries to disarm the situation multiple times, and he's the one who inevitably ends up hurting Daniel at the end and doesn't want to do it. Like, so they did a really good job of like looking at these characters and being like, this is probably how they would have evolved. And then they, ironically enough, they make sure that Dutch was in prison. In Cobra Kai.
Smart. But I broke a guy's knee in high school. I have to become a priest and spend the rest of my life repenting.
Basically. So Miyagi does save Daniel and brings him back to, like, essentially nurse him back to health with the headband, might I add. I noticed that on this run. I didn't notice that. What did that say? Trim your bush while you sleep. Wakes up, he's like, oh, he turned into a D. But I didn't notice this until this watch through. That the thing that he puts on his face to like help the swelling is the headband. Mm-hmm. That's why later on he goes to give it back. I always wondered why he went to go give it back. I didn't until I paid really close attention to this scene. To me, this was always kind of like a transitional scene. I didn't pay super close attention to. Now we discuss payment plan, young man. Daniel-san. Now we can discuss payment plan. But yeah, basically Miyagi is kind of fed up with their bullshit now. and it's no longer he can takes no more, so to say, and they drive over to talk to John Kreese, who has the greatest position for his hands ever. He's doing the Al Bundy, the double Al Bundy.
Wow, I did not notice that until now.
Well, Miyagi does try and say, like, it doesn't make any sense for me to get involved initially,
Yeah.
which seems
This is actually a great shot, by the way, because you see pretty much all of the villains in the, like, it's just the way that I just love the way that this one is shot. The cinematography in this movie has some really great moments like this.
Well, not just also the blocking. Like the director, quite like multiple times he arranged like the block. Just the way he arranged the actors is just well done. I love the scene in the restaurant when Daniel talks to his mom and everything is happening in the background. It's like the same shot in Goodfellas, I think.
Like all in one take too. That's what impressed me the most.
So
now that I'm looking at this, by the way, this is the order he beats them in the tournament.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I just noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, outside of Kreese, and I can't
was
quite
gonna
tell who
say-
that guy in the background is. He might be one of, but I can see he's a brown belt, so he probably got beaten earlier in the tournament. They do show a couple of the Cobra Kai fighters get beat by like non-Daniel. Speaking of the tournament, but essentially they go there to talk to them about like, hey, leave Daniel the fuck alone, and this sequence was in the trailer we did. This unsuspecting schmuck who gets taken down from behind and then is forced to do 60 knuckle push-ups because he didn't think that his teacher would be a sociopath enough to attack him while he's not looking. Yes. I'm not going to say that one. Not going to say it. I draw the line. So they do show them sparring, which I believe that the kid here, the black kid here, I know later on they show him. It might not be the same one, but it's Lamar Latrell. The character of Lamar Latrell from Revenge of the Nerds, the gay black guy from Revenge of the Nerds, is in this movie.
Oh. It's either him or Miles Morales over there.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's this. It's hard to tell from this angle. But it's one of the fighters that Daniel fights in the tournament is the actor who plays Lamar in Revenge of the Nerds. So they basically discuss like, hey, there's no reason for my guys, I don't train my guys for mercy. And they essentially strike a deal that it's going to be, he won't be touched until the tournament, but he has to compete in the tournament. It's basically forcing their hands. It's like, we won't fight you until then, but you have to fight on that day.
What a shitty arrangement for him. It's like, wow.
Well, I mean, it was either that or get your ass kicked every day for the rest of time.
I get it, but it's just like Daniel did not really expect that. It's like, oh, now I have to fight all of them in a tournament.
Well, at least it's 1-on-1.
I was going to say, to
jump.
be fair, at least it's not fighting all of them 4-on-1 every day. It's one day of fighting them one at a time.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So one thing I did find, I'll look them up later, but I just remember, that just randomly popped into my mind. A lot of the character names had been changed for this, and one of the, I think somebody was it you backstage, Sylvia, who said that it was like they make them ethnic, like specific.
Well, that's in the German dub. They sometimes change. Like I told you before, like back in the 90s in particular, nobody, like you never heard the term Hispanic. Like in Germany or Austria, so they often made Hispanic characters like Indian. That's what they made them in the German dub.
Awesome. Speaking of time specific terminology, I'm not saying this one out loud, but
this scene right here, is this a model? It looks fake, right?
It's probably like just
It's
not
a
a real
miniature.
house. No, I don't think it's miniature. I think
No, that's not a miniature.
No, I think it's just a house that they built really quick. I don't think that this is a miniature.
Oh, okay.
Maybe, but why would they do that? They had a full size set. I don't know why they would do that.
Yeah, and the budget for this was like just 8 million. I mean, even inflation adjusted, I don't think they would have used any compositing shots.
Imagine
I
how
think
much money that property would cost today in LA.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
7
Millions.
figures minimum.
8 million. They would have been like that. We can't even loan you this for a day for 8 million. What are you talking about?
They would have demolished it instantly and put a whole condo on top of it.
So this is where he goes to give back the headband, and Miyagi basically gives it to him. It's his. The training has begun, so to say. But the first training is that he needs to teach it. He needs to teach Daniel how to wax off. Another wholesome moment.
I would.
But just one back up there then.
I'm just ruining the relationship between Daniel and
Yeah,
Miyagi
yeah.
as I go along.
Like, wow, what a beautiful relationship, father and son. And then we're up to, help me trim your bush, sensei.
Trim your bush and wax off for me. Okay. Yeah, sounds great. But yeah, so it's basically, as everybody knows, this is nothing that nobody watching this doesn't know. It's very unorthodox training. That involves, housework, essentially.
Mhm.
It doesn't seem like it's doing anything for him.
It involves a lot of child labor.
And
Yeah. Like
yeah,
at
it's basic.
first- Sorry,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, with those scenes, like, it feels like the only reason Daniel did those was just because, one, Miyagi saved him, so he just listened to it. So I remember, like any other person, if that was just the first thing they learned in karate class, they would just leave because it doesn't make sense at the moment.
Well, it is a bit Jordan Peterson-y. Like, clean your room first, learn some basic stuff before you will take on the world. I feel like that's what he's going for, while at the same time setting up for some karate later on.
I think too, it shows us that Daniel really takes pride in doing a good job.
Yeah,
Because he has all these every chore Miyagi gives him, he puts this little finishing touch on to make sure that it's perfect, which I think really puts him ahead of, even though he's really been his own worst enemy when it comes to fighting against Johnny. It does show us that there's a real personality difference in how they look at the world.
I never really thought about that little detail that he always puts that like little extra emphasis on it. I never thought of that. That's a good observation. But I have another deleted scene, the one that I talked about coming up soon. So now Daniel, like a moron, just starts teasing and taunting the Cobra Kais. This is where we start to see, we all joke about him being the real villain, but like, if I was in this situation, I probably would not be. This is bulletin board material, as they would call it in professional sports. You keep saying, you talk about how the team that you're about to play sucks, so now that they're going to play a little harder, taunting them, it just seems like a terrible idea because you're just going to piss them off more for the tournament where they're supposed to fight you. This scene always pissed me off. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I could definitely. I mean, looking at the context of why is he doing this? Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if it came later, when Daniel realized he's been training for karate all this time and he's getting better, he gets cockier. I think you can move the scenes around a little, and then it would fit more. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he's about to get a bit cocky as he gets better.
Oop, that's the end of that. I do have actually another clip. So this one I kind of feel shouldn't have been removed because it shows exactly what this kind of talk, like him taunting them, would do to someone like Johnny. This one also has sound. So.
Wanted to make sure you got it.
What's this for?
You got to get your mommy to sign that so you can be in the tournament with the big boys. They got to know where to send your body after I get finished with it.
Wait, I thought this was supposed to be no contact.
Accidents happen.
Hey, let me ask you a question. What pleasure you get from all this?
Oh, what?
Your big shot attitude. I mean, we both know you can kick my face in, so why do you still bother?
Maybe because I like to. Did you ever think of that?
Well, you ever think your teacher might be wrong then?
Watch your mouth, runt. I'm gonna forget my promise and rip your teeth out.
I feel like a lot of these deleted scenes kind of make this into a completely different movie.
That's why they probably removed
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Johnny does not take kindly to people leaving their lockers open, though. That's one thing that I got out of that.
And what's the no contact thing?
So,
Well, there used
I
to be
think
some
what-
tournaments where, like Bruce Lee talked about it, that he hated those where you literally are not in contact as you.
Yeah.
I remember him talking about that once in the 70s.
I want to say that that line that they just didn't refine that scene in the script, and I think what he was trying to say there, to me, it comes off as, I thought we're not supposed to touch each other before the tournament, and then because right after that he starts to go into, well, maybe I'll forget that promise, maybe I'll. And so I think that it was just a poorly written scene that they only recorded once and didn't go back and refine.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But this is a great still frame of, where is she looking exactly? What's going on here?
This movie is so degenerate now.
Like, she's like, what have you been doing with Miyagi exactly?
It's like, what is that? A lightning bolt, son?
Lightning bolt? Maybe a. It's like a cue to you. But yeah, so he goes to well, they go. It's the mother and Daniel go to pick up Allie for their date, which I love this. This is probably the most accurate thing in the whole movie, because he doesn't have a license or a car, so he has to rely on his mother. He has no idea where they're going because he's not from here. So like Allie just is like, I'll go to golf and stuff, I guess. He's like, yeah, golf and stuff. And the car doesn't work, so they have to push it. And then they get to golf and stuff, which actually looks like one of the coolest fucking places on the history of the world. I wish I could go here.
I do think that there's supposed to be a little bit of a 80s trope in that she's really wealthy. Johnny is generally supposed to be better off.
He's the stepson of, actually his stepfather is the richest guy around in this town. I mean, other than eventually when you find out about Terry Silver, but his father, his stepfather's like really old money, played by who
Ed
was it?
Asner.
It was Ed Asner. Yeah, that was Ed Asner played him in the show.
Oh, and he was so good too.
Like, let me put it this way: one piece of artwork that Johnny steals in Cobra Kai from the living room, like as he's walking out, funds the entire Cobra Kai dojo. That's how much money the stepfather has.
Oh wait, wasn't that was season 3, right? When Johnny steals the vase?
No, I'm pretty certain that that's season 1, I think.
Yeah, season 1. No, Ed Asner gives him a check. They never say the amount. And then Johnny ripped it up. Then
it was to fund something else. Yeah, but it was basically a shit ton of money for a random piece of artwork that's just sitting in his lobby.
Yeah, I think I remember that. That's to help pay for the. Sorry. That was to help pay for the hospital bill for Miguel so he can recover.
That's it. Yeah, he pays all of Miguel's hospital bills with it, which was like tens of thousands. And it's like a shitty looking thing on a desk, just like in a room. You just grab.
It says something though that Allie's parents are at least tentatively okay with her breaking up with this super rich guy to date someone like Daniel, which would have also been an 80s trope. Normally the parents would have been very against their relationship.
Yeah, at this point, like, a lot of WASPs didn't even acknowledge Italians as human beings, so they probably wouldn't have fun. But yeah, this is very Trebuch. That they would not have accepted it. But then again, she's shown to be a rather rebellious herself, so she doesn't really care what her family thinks essentially. But yeah, this is as they're on their date, they see every nice car in the history of. They literally see Daniel's future business pull up in front of them. As luxury exotic cars just crop up everywhere. And yeah, so this starts to really put in the seeds of doubt in Daniel's mind that like he's going to be able to be with Allie, which inevitably plays out a little bit later from now. And I don't have any funny jokes about this one, like the waxing off joke. I don't really, but this is Sando Floor. This is it's just more unorthodox train. I mean, like, there's not really much I could say about this one that we didn't say about the previous one. But he does always work deep into the night, though, which leads me to wonder, like, when he's getting to school in the morning and stuff.
Also, look
and how his mother doesn't really.
Think of all the people that have their faucets that need to be cleaned, fixed, and he's busy with him all day.
I was going to say, Miyagi just sort of stops going to work, apparently.
Yeah, that basically he is. Well, I mean, they only show 3 people actually living in that building anyway, and one of them's that old lady who doesn't even go into her apartment. She just sits next to the shitty pool, and the other one is the asshole that we don't care about anymore. So
was there any deleted scenes with the friend?
No, the only 4 deleted scenes that were ever shown were the 2 I just showed you. There's one, it's a slightly extended version of him being carted off and an extended version of the end, which you can kind of see in the real version how the end just stops.
Yeah, it's very abrupt. Yeah.
And it's because it was extended out a little bit more because it was supposed to transition into what would inevitably go on to be the first scene of the second movie.
Yeah, it felt like it. I actually thought.
Oh yeah.
The fight with Chris is in the first one. I kind of forgot that it's in the second one. Yeah.
Did they?
That really should. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, did they know they were gonna make a sequel?
No. I think they just wanted it to end on a real positive note like that, and for them to do what the sequence that they show at the beginning of the second movie, which is literally the end, was recorded for the end of this one, is Kreese, bloodied hands and him almost killing Johnny. It was a huge downer from the emotional high that was the end of the movie. So I wouldn't be shocked if test audiences were like, "Yeah, I don't want to see that." It's not even like when they show it in the second movie, it's still like, ugh, and that's the opening sequence. So, but what after the Sando floor, he does tell him to come in bright and early, 6 a.m. or whatever to train. I guess I'm guessing it's Saturday or Sunday. And this is one of the most iconic scenes in the entire movie, so much so that I went and I clipped it up and added it. So,
Hey, wouldn't a fly swatter be easier?
Man who catch fly with chopstick.
Hey, Mr. Miyagi, look.
You beginner luck.
I missed the can accomplish anything part apparently. But so the way they did that scene, I looked it up because I was always curious. Apparently, the fly was actually tethered to fishing line, so it could only fly in front of them. That's why it's always in the sequence. And
I thought it would just be they just put it in after and like post or something.
No, I thought
no.
Like they usually use peanut butter. They spread peanut butter somewhere close by the.
No,
actors,
apparently in a interview that I read, it was Ralph Macchio said that they finally, I guess they couldn't get it to stay in the right spot, so they finally just put like fishing line. They like tied a fly with fishing line so it can only fly in like a pattern in front of them. And he doesn't actually catch it. That's a fake one that was attached to the chopsticks. So when you see him like move his hand, it's like he's moving it into place. That way when he goes like that, it snaps into the right spot.
I think way too much went into this idea of just the flies going around. Like, can you actually tell if it's a fly?
It doesn't. I mean, it ended up being pretty much, one of the top 3 most iconic scenes in the series. So I think they did their.
It's
it was
kind
worth
of the ultimate, kind of the ultimate in practical effects.
Yeah.
But Miyagi is, of course, he's not particularly happy with his life's work being made fun of right in front of him in such a way by having this punk from New Jersey just do it in 3 tries. It's like, so he's like, guess what, motherfucker? You're gonna paint my fence, both sides, and you're gonna change hands too. You're using both. You're going stranger in the tub on the small boards, okay? Left hand, motherfucker. So,
Really,
this one,
no jokes about both hands.
I just said that, stranger in the tub, both hands.
I missed the stranger in the tub part.
But yeah, so and at this point, it's you can tell it's starting to really get to Daniel. He's starting to get really annoyed with it. But he just keeps doing it. He just keeps doing the training. And this is the one where really he gets like fed, because not only does he have to do it, Miyagi's not even there. He just paints, just paint the house, making sure you go side to side. And I don't think we have this clip. It was in the beginning. That was in the trailer. No, this is when he finally. It's fine. This is when he finally shows him. Yeah, you've been doing muscle memory, you moron. Like you haven't. I do love when he goes like, show me sand to floor, and he literally gets down in front of him. I was like, no, on your feet. Like, which in context of all the weird shit we've set up to this point makes that even funnier.
He does it twice, even.
Yeah. But yeah, he starts showing him that it's very specific motions.
I think the Jackie Chan one also did this pretty well. I think
the Jackie Chan one. So here's the thing: is it itself is not a terrible movie. It's just a very pointless movie because they don't really do anything different.
Is it even karate? It's in China.
No, it
right?
was kung fu. It was kung fu.
Okay,
they should have called it the Kung Fu Kid. Is what they should have called it. Show me wax the knob. But no, really, that's my problem with the remake was that they didn't do anything different other than like, they're going to the country rather than across country. It was just like, and then I guess because it was kung fu, but there was no point to making that movie. If you're gonna do it, just do it as a sequel that has a slightly different story to it. I would have preferred that. It's a reason why they forget it exists. But yes, this is like pretty much the last training is his balance training. Yeah, Bush is on fire today. He's and wow, that was a great stop you got there.
Wow,
thank you. That's a good one. Basically the balance training. This is, in my opinion, the only really practical one that he does because he's throwing kicks on one foot while he's standing in the ocean, has to maintain his balance. The rest of them make no sense. This one though is very actually applicable to what he's going to end up doing.
Do we see a lot of what he does with the training? I kind of forgot with the final scenes of it. Do we actually see him doing the wax on, wax off the block things as much? I don't think so, right?
Not really.
He does block a lot of incoming, kicks and hits. So I'd say so, yeah.
Who's seen Darkman?
Been a long while.
So the guy in the hat there is Durant from Darkman. I noticed that on this watch. I was like, holy shit, I knew I was like, because whenever I'm doing the rewatches for any of these, I'm paying closer attention to background details. And I really paid attention to these two guys in this scene. And I was like, that guy's face looks so familiar. And I looked it up. I was like, holy shit, that's him. I don't actually remember what happens here. Oh, that's Allie saying that she'll be there to cheer him on. That's what it was.
I hate their outfits.
Yeah, why is he on the soccer field? He was kicked off the team. What's he doing there?
I think they're like Bill Belichick sweatshirts with the sleeves cut off and everything.
He was kicked off, but she's still a cheerleader. So
yeah. And then this is more of the same balance training from earlier. Just now it's on a boat. And Miyagi, one thing that I do like is that Miyagi always, when he was missing before for the painting and in this sequence, so his family by trade were fishermen. And even though that's not what he does professionally anymore, it's still part of his life, which I love that it's a little detail that they keep in there.
He barely does what he does professionally anymore anyway.
True. Now, this is the sequence where Allie is basically telling her father, like, no, I'm going to see Daniel. And he's like, to hell you are. You're a whatever. You're a Mills, damn it. You're not going to see that Italian fucker. And I love Chuck, you'll remember this from when they first bring back Mike Barnes. And he's on the cell phone call that you only hear his side. And he's like, I told you to get rid of that Italian piece of shit years ago. And it turns out he's talking about a leather couch.
I have to say, I'm very surprised it took this long into the movie for her parents to throw a hissy fit. Probably they just figured that, we won't say anything and she'll get sick of him. But
yeah.
Well, weren't they there on the date at all? Didn't they like talk about his upbringing or backstory a little bit when they were first meeting him?
Yeah, so when he goes to pick her up, they ask where he's from, and they're like, "Are you from Encino?" And he's like, "No, I'm from Reseda," which I don't know much about California, but I do know Reseda tends to be not like lower income area, at least through movies. I mean, you're from California, Chuck. You can probably tell a little bit more.
I rarely ever go to LA County or even Orange County. Just not a fan of the area.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like 2 hours away.
Yeah, but like from what you know about like Reseda versus like other parts of the, like what do you know? Like you probably would know a little, if anything, you'd know better than us. You're the closest one by far.
No, I honestly don't know, just because I mean LA County just sucks. Let's just put it that way. Like I always hear in the news, and yeah, just not a good area to be in. So I stay away.
Actually, Slasher Fred, I did mention the Karate Kid cartoon and its ridiculousness and them like being international spies and shit. I'm gonna see later on if I can find that. Toward the end, I'm gonna see if I can find the intro or something for that. But back to this, stuffy Anglo-Saxon Protestant country club. That basically Allie is, trying to leave, and Johnny cuts in on a dance. Well, actually, it's the mother switches dance partners because she was just dancing with her father, and the mother was dancing with Johnny, and then they switch, and then Johnny. I thought there was another one in there. Johnny basically uses it as a moment to sexually assault Allie in front of the entire party. by like forcing his tongue in her mouth, and just to get back at Daniel, who then falls over and gets hit with his people's food. Like he just gets hit with spaghetti. And now probably the deepest scene in the entire movie is by far, like I would argue that there's nothing that comes close to this sequence when Daniel goes back to see Miyagi, who's blitz drunk, and in celebration of his wife who had died. I'm guessing on this. I'm assuming it's this day is the anniversary, because he says. I'm not sure if it's the wedding anniversary or the death anniversary. I'm not sure. He just says anniversary.
Death one would make more sense. Because Jackie Chan does the exact same thing in the second one, the remake. So
yeah, I think it works either way though. But the scene is even deeper. Like as I've gotten older, I realized how much even deeper this scene is, because he comes from Okinawa. He wants to, and Okinawa I don't think was part of Japan at that point yet. I think they were still an independent country at that point, and he serves in the U.S. Army. He not only that, he has a Medal of Honor, so that means he went above and beyond. And while he's doing that, his wife, who is pregnant, is interned and dies in childbirth because, not the best medical conditions and stuff. Medical attention is paid. And, and he finds out while he's overseas. And it's just this scene, no matter how many times I see it, this scene always gets to me.
Yeah.
Anybody? Okay.
No, it's really sad. Everything about it is perfect setup, and I guess to this point, though, we kind of saw Miyagi as he's teaching him, but he's always doing it in like a comical way. We never really got a seriousness, and then just went from 0 to 100 really quickly, and just very unexpected for me watching this.
This is the only thing that sort of gets connected with Next Karate Kid, because the reason why he goes to Boston is because people that he served with, that she's in the family there, and like there's like a whole thing that he goes to do there with that. I haven't seen it in a long time, but this scene, they really don't play this up again until then. They don't say much about this in the second and third movie. They barely even have Miyagi in the damn thing. But the second one is more about his life in Okinawa, and then obviously they bring this back up in Cobra Kai again because they have a whole sequence of his Medal of Honor getting stolen and stuff. But
you mentioned Pat Morita is the actor. He was actually known just for comedy before this.
For the most part, yeah, he was in Happy Days, the sitcom Happy Days, and he was also a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
So, and he didn't have an accent. He's American.
Yeah.
Like he's basically doing the same accent he did in Happy Days, the same fake Japanese accent. So that's one of the reasons why they were like worried about it. Yeah.
I know you
wasn't
pulled it off well.
What was that, Chuck?
I was about to say, like, wasn't the scene like they were kind of the directors, or forgot who it was, but they were trying to possibly cut the scene because they thought it would be too slow, like screeching halt. But I think it was the director.
If they would have removed this scene, it would have changed the movie completely. It would have changed Miyagi as a person. He would have just been a goofy dude who just didn't want to be bothered, and then kind of just was like, "Oh, fine, you're getting your ass kicked. I'll help you." Like this ties the whole character together. This scene basically is the movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is a microcosm of everything that's been going on. Why he is the way he is. But, we see his Medal of Honor there. Now this is it. Then it gets a little bit more. So then I wish we could have the music and stuff, because this scene is like kind of the rebirth sequence, I would say, for the two of them as characters, because the music, the way that they train together changes at this point. It's up to this point, it was very, I tell you, you do. And now they're kind of training side by side. It's like Miyagi is showing him more of the, these things actually work. And this is, you've passed the first phase essentially, but then it does kind of have a whole, he gets too cocky sequence as well. I wish this is the scene I wish they wouldn't have had in there, to be honest with you. If I had to remove one scene, it would have been this sequence. I was part of it when he's, yelling at him for being talk too much.
Yeah.
Backing up a little bit to the change between his relationship with Miyagi after the drunkenness.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, the first time you ever start to think of your parents as being people in and of themselves, other than just your parents, or you realize that your teachers exist outside classrooms. I sort of thought of this as kind of that moment for Daniel, in that, all of a sudden he sees Miyagi as another person other than just the old guy who teaches me karate, and really starts seeing him as a person that existed before Daniel and had a life before Daniel.
Great point.
No, yeah, I think that too. I think that it humanizes the character. Up to that point, he was a stoic, almost, almost as if he didn't even exist as a human being. He just was there. You know, he would appear when needed, essentially, and just kind of be gone when not needed. And then that was like the moment of weakness that you finally see he has emotions. He's not just which is one of the reasons why I like this is. And then this is the first time he gets mad at him too. I think I almost feel like the scenes are backwards. Like I feel like he should have got mad at him with the.
Well, actually, yeah, that makes sense because the part when he's drunk, that's basically the dark night of the soul of the whole screenplay.
Yeah.
So usually you will, before the dark night of the soul, you have the all is lost moment. And so what can precede a great all is lost moment is when you get too cocky and you think you have figured it all out. So move a little bit around, it would fit better.
Yeah, it's the one scene, the one sequence in this movie, besides maybe the beginning with all the car and stuff. It's really the only one I think really kind of screws up the run of how it works. I mean, it's very quick though. He basically forgives him almost immediately anyway. And I do love the fact that he's using like baseball equipment because they don't have any professional like training equipment. They don't, so they're just modifying random things. It's actually some of this would go on to be reused in some of the like later Rocky movies and stuff. Like, oh well, let's just use what we have kind of moments. And
chicken.
Yeah.
Chicken cardio.
Yeah. Well, I think no, Rocky 2 had already come out by this point. But the like Rocky 4, when it's like, let's just use all of the trees and shit. Like that's like, I feel like that was very much inspired by this kind of scene. In fact, actually, I don't know if you guys know this because the song is about to. I wish we could have the music, but the you know, You're the Best was originally written for Rocky 3. If you listen to the lyrics, it makes sense actually, because it's like one of the lines is like history repeats itself. It's like, what history repeats itself? There's no history here. It's like this for this sequence. It's the first time he's ever fighting.
Back in film school, I used you're the best for my montage. Like you have to do a mise en scène, a montage, and my montage was called Fruit Ninja. And it was about a guy whose parents were killed by coconuts. So he joins a fruit ninja. so he joins a fruit ninja competition where he has to chop fruit. And yeah, so history repeats itself, I guess.
Okay. Apparently, Mr. T over Mr. Miyagi, according to Buck in the chat. But yeah, so that was well, it's funny because I also read somewhere that they briefly considered using the song for Flashdance too, as well. Not Flashdance 2, like Flashdance as well, which makes even less sense because it's like the whole thing is about manning up, and it's like, how are you going to have that about a woman dancing? Like, how are you going to? But basically, the entire like the most iconic song from the series from the movie was only because nobody wanted it. It was like they just kept passing it on, and it eventually ended up in this movie, which is a pretty weird thing to happen. But this is also a sequence that always has made me kind of wonder. So he has this little micro birthday party that he has here with his, you know, with his karate trainer. Obviously, you know, you have this, and he gives him a car and all that. But he realizes he's like, oh, I'm supposed to be home. My mother was supposed to bake me this surprise cake. It's like, why are you having cake here? Like, why didn't you just tell Miyagi, like, hey, let's just not do a cake. My mother is supposed to do a cake for me. Like, but he does gift him a gi and a car. And then, so here, and there's another thing about this scene that always makes me wonder. So the reason why he says, hey, I got to go, Mr. Miyagi. My mom's waiting for me. He gives him the car, and then what does Daniel do immediately?
Crash it.
No, goes
no.
Pick up a girl, right?
He goes to see. He doesn't go to see his mother.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, plans change. He didn't know when he planned to go to his mother. He didn't know he'll have a car. So plans.
But he was very late. He was very late for that.
But he got a good car, so plans change. Mom can.
I mean, also, I mean, if I had a choice between a surprise cake with my mother and
that's what I mean. Like,
and what inevitably I think ends up happening after this scene, I'd probably go with Allie as well.
Which one would you guys have picked? Which car? If you had given.
Oh, let me go back.
Yeah.
I think I would go with, so full disclosure, I drive a Mini Cooper. It's a cool car. I don't care what anybody says. I would probably take the smallest one on the end down there.
Oh, okay.
I like how you
Though
said
the
that
one he
and then
chooses is
instantly
pretty nice.
defended it.
I love my car. It's actually, so I used to commute a lot, and it was great for ducking in and out of traffic. That's one of the reasons I bought it. I commuted on the New Jersey Turnpike constantly, and that is a traffic mess. So I used to drive I drove a Subaru Forester for years, and I was always like just stuck in place. I was like, no, I want something that I could like slip in and out, but I didn't want like a motorcycle on the Jersey Turnpike. So I was like, Mini Cooper. I was like, perfect, and I would get to work like a half hour sooner every fucking day because I would just duck in and out of the traffic.
Parking it must be a lot easier too.
Oh, I love doing that thing where I back into a parking spot just so far that I know someone driving down in the parking lot thinks they found a spot and they didn't.
Oh god,
I love doing that.
So you love being a dick, is what we're
I
saying.
love doing that shit. It's one of my favorite things. I sit there all day being like, yes, I've ruined at least 3 people's day today. But yeah, I would probably go with I think it's green. It looks green on the end there.
Yeah, it looks green.
With a white roof, yeah.
Yeah, with the white roof. But the yellow one's nice too. How about you guys? Which ones would you choose?
Yellow one. He made the right choice. Oh no, he picked the yellow one for me. Looks awesome.
Well, I don't live in LA, so the yellow one would be a terrible, terrible choice.
You would probably, because where you lived, I think the black one would make the most sense because you live in like farm country, so there's probably kicks up a lot of dirt and stuff. Black doesn't show dirt.
I was wondering if any of them were, it would probably depend on like what the drive was in all of them, because
honestly, you could probably modify any of these into something that could really cart a lot of weight around. These are all big ass.
I was thinking more the driving in the snow. Like which one would drive in the snow better?
Yes, Eraserhead.
Currently it's mud season, so.
Chuck, did you choose one?
I'll take the black.
Yeah, you got to put like the fabulous Hudson Hornet on the side of that one, though. I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's like.
Ooh,
I think
that's true.
That might be the same.
That
It's hard to tell. But yeah,
I'm a big fan of which one is the easiest to find in parking lots.
Oh, definitely the yellow one.
Yellow.
You see that one from a mile away.
Well, then so the Cobra Kai would also see it from a mile away.
Yeah, that too.
So like they would buy the black. They would take the black one and probably just put yellow trim on it. That was what they would do.
Oh yeah.
I think actually I do believe that all 4 of these cars are still in this lot in the in Cobra Kai. I believe these are. I think Daniel inherits all 4 of these cars. Daniel basically inherits everything from Miyagi. So.
Closest thing he has to a son makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think Miyagi knew he was going to choose this one. By the way, like he just kind of because when he hands him the keys, it has his dog tags on it. So. I think he knew that, which it kind of makes. I mean, the other 3 are all kind of samey, like green, black, blue. They're darker colors. It's like this one stands out immediately. But he goes to Seattle.
It's also the one that Daniel put the extra touch on when he was waxing everything.
Yes, you should always put an extra touch on the waxing off.
Make sure you're thorough.
Thorough with your waxing off.
Now, refresh my memory here. She's mad at him?
She's mad at him because
Johnny made out with her and he was upset that Johnny was making out with her?
Yeah, no. So she's mad that he doesn't trust her. Like he didn't wait to see that she slapped him. I think that's what it is about.
Yeah. So basically, he's been like kind of avoiding her now.
Yeah.
It's not well explained. But
we had to have a third act conflict. That's all there is to it.
It's like, oh yes.
And then the bitchy friend. So she has 2 friends. She has like the idiot that doesn't pay attention friend, like the blonde one over his left shoulder, and like her whole point in the story is to be like, hey, wait a minute. Like that's like her basically her as a character. And then the brunette that's over his right shoulder is like the on the nose explanation pissed off bitch character. And she has a line in here where it's like, no, what'd you miss? Oh, you know what you missed? Well, what? His hand on her ass? No, her right hook. Did you think she sprained her wrist doing her nails? But she's not wearing like a brace or anything on her wrist. I made sure to watch this scene twice to see if she was, and she's not. So how would he have known that?
Yeah, there must be another cut of this somewhere that has these scenes in it.
But he's forgiven pretty quickly. And also, I want to point out something, that it is December, and they're at a water park. It's fucking awesome. Like, that's cool. like, there's just like there's guys just coming down this water slide, and there's Christmas decorations.
Yeah, but it's still California, though.
That's why you can have a car that doesn't have a top on it, because you're not you're not 6 feet of snow on the ground at this point.
But now the tournament begins. I love this sequence because they steal the black belt from the guy. It's like a little detail that if you're not paying attention, you won't notice.
Right, I didn't even notice the first time.
I was confused by this. Why didn't he already have one?
Because
they have no official. Yeah, they have no official equipment, no training equipment, so it's technically not even a dojo. So like everything.
He's literally training in a weird dude's backyard. Like, they're not even that. They actually later on basically acknowledge that this is it. They every time they explain Miyagi-Do later on in the series, it's like mystery dojo with one student. Like, they don't really. Essentially, he went in as an independent. That's the best way to put it. Like, he wasn't really. So he didn't have a belt. He just got his gi. But I do love that. And here's the coat. So these are 3 of the 4 that we saw in that lineup. Might I add? That's the guy from the very back. He has a brown belt. So, and they almost get into a fight here with Dutch, because he's like I said, he's the hothead. I wish you would have had the picture of him where he's like, "Come on, let's go, let's go." But I
always wonder, like, this one. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I always wonder with this scene, like Dutch. It just feels like the guy just like forced himself like into the scene. Like you said, he was Steve McQueen's son. Like he says, "I need one scene. Give me one scene."
Well, they definitely
like Johnny.
I think Johnny doesn't even appear in this sequence, does he?
That's what I find weird about it.
If anything, Johnny should be holding him back, saying, "Oh, he'll get his time" or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, basically, in my opinion, this is another scene that they probably could have skipped. I don't think they really needed this one. I think they could have just went right into the tournament. Because that's basically what they do. And one thing, we don't have I wish we had the clip of it. I love when they're trying to get Allie past the officiants, like the officials, and she's his translator, and he just says random things in Japanese, and she translates them. But my favorite thing is, thank you, and he's like, welcome, walks away.
So what we've learned so far from this movie is, let your son hang out with strange men that you don't know. Let him stay out late. Have absolutely no idea where he is. Trust the old guy who steals crap from tournaments, and gets your son stuck in a situation where he can get the crap kicked out of him anyway. Lie to officials running security.
The 80s, folks.
So one thing that is a little weird to me, I'm guessing now in jiu-jitsu tournaments, a lot of times the officials also compete. That's kind of one of the ways that they get around paying referees, which is the dumbest thing ever, in my opinion. But they basically let if you ref for them, you can compete for free. And
the officials are adults.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's why I don't understand why if this wasn't an under 18 tournament, it would make sense, but why does that guy have a duffel bag with his belt in it? Like, he has no reason to have his equipment in there if he's just the guy at the desk.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
so that it can be stolen and the plot can happen.
Yeah, there it is.
Pretty much.
I was about to say the same thing because I pulled up the screenplay, but the scan is so bad. I cannot read that scene how it is
It's
in the
fine.
screenplay. So yeah.
Let's see. I just want to double check where we. So Daniel lines up for his first match, which isn't against the Cobra Kai guy, which I actually like that it's not immediately against someone from Cobra Kai because it makes the world bigger. Like artificially grow. That's one thing that happens with this whole tournament is that they make up to this point we only know about the Cobra Kai dojo and Miyagi-Do, obviously, but they artificially grow the California karate scene by just showing like this guy and then Vidal, who's later on, and it's a really smart way to make this a bigger thing than it would have been if it was just him versus 6 or 7 straight Cobra Kai guys, you know.
Which isn't really much of a tournament, since if he didn't exist, it would just be the Cobra Kai guys fighting each other.
Yeah. So I actually did a tournament once where I was in South Jersey, and that's Ricardo Almeida territory is the big gyms down there. And I just faced like 4 of his guys in a row, and each one of them went to the next guy and was like, oh yeah, he's doing it. So every one of the matches not only got harder because it was a better person, it got harder because he was going over there and like they were telling like, oh, this is what he's doing because they were all on the same team.
That feels like it ought to be right up there with sign stealing in baseball.
But there's nothing against it. That's the problem. I did okay. I won like 3 of the 4 matches, so I did pretty good considering the fact I was basically fighting a whole team. But you know, like I was never really a stud competitor anyway. I've won, you know, my share of gold medals over the years, but I'm not like I do like opens up a closet door and they just fall on me. There's people like that.
It's like a SpongeBob scene.
Yeah, there's guys that I know that have just like, you know, hundreds of medals because that's all they did. You know, I did it as more of a hobby. Some of them were like professionals though. I do have this fight in I think this one's doubled up, so but you can unmute yourself once I get it going. So basically he doesn't even know the rules at this point. Like that's one of the things that like Allie's trying to explain the rules as they go along. Because apparently she's the only.
He really is the worst at this.
Yeah.
I was going to
like
say,
apparently she's the only one who read the rule book.
Seems like an important detail for Miyagi to have mentioned to him.
He's busy having him wax off all day.
But yeah, that's one thing I always tell my students, like familiarize yourself with the rules. Like the last thing you want to do is get disqualified for something stupid. But I don't even know which gym this is, like which dojo this is. I know that that's one thing that they did in Cobra Kai really well was actually start. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, didn't the symbol on his back mean what JoJo he's from?
Yeah, it's but I don't know what that symbol is. Somebody just said, "Can we talk about how it's a swastika?" Yeah, I guess I don't really. It's like apparently, this is karate that you do not see coming. I guess.
So let me get this straight. Everyone should know what the rules are, so you don't get disqualified for something like winning your fight by kicking a guy in the face.
Didn't they say this is no contact? There's a lot of contact here.
So here's one of the things about. So this is what I know this about full contact karate. I don't know about point karate, but in full contact karate, you can't punch to the face. That's probably you're allowed to kick to the head though. Like that's like go watch like Kyokushin full contact karate, and it's basically two dudes line up and they punch each other in the gut until one of them drops their hands and the other guy kicks the other one in the head. It's essentially what it is. It's every match is like the same thing.
So you can't punch someone in the head, but you can kick them, which does definitely more damage.
It's not a damage thing. It's not a. I don't think it's a damage thing. I think it's just an easiness factor. It's because it's actually really easy to just punch somebody in the face. So it takes a lot more skill to kick someone that high. So I think that's really what it is. I'm not a karateka, so I don't really know exactly what the logic is behind it, but that's always been my guess. Masoyama, there you go, the founder of Kyokushin Karate, one of the fucking most badass human beings to ever live. I wish I looked over there and it was Masoyama actually in the chat, even though he's been dead for like 50 years.
What a shock.
But yeah, so I love this still. I was so glad you got this one, by the way, Joe. This is like my favorite still frame of Johnny ever. It's just something about like really badass about this one.
Well, what's happening as the scene's going on though? Is he seeing Daniel win? He's like, oh,
Yeah, is he getting
might-
worried the first time here? Or
No, this is him lined up for one of his matches.
Okay, yeah.
I think this is his first match.
Getting
And
worried.
that
Daniel
this
doesn't even know
guy,
what it is.
this guy that he's fighting right there. I'm not sure if it's the same black kid from earlier, but that is the one that is Lamar Luttrell from Revenge of the Nerds. And this guy, I don't know how. There's no weight classes clearly, because this dude outweighs. This guy is like 300 pounds of pure man meat right here. What is going on?
30. What is he doing here?
yeah. This guy's got a full beard. He shouldn't be here at the 17 and under tournament. Like, what's going on?
What was that scene in the movie?
Some
The
teenagers
bench
just
warmers.
mature really early.
Yeah. What was that, Joe?
Remember that scene in the movie, the bench warmers, where he has a birth certificate, just says "I am 15."
No,
years
that
old"?
was
What am I thinking of?
it was Benchwarmers. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I am 12.
Yeah.
Then they get him like tequila and beer and get him drunk on the mound. That's a great scene.
Oh,
He's got documentation. But yeah, so it's pretty much just this is the unfortunately, I really wish we could play this. I should have recorded myself singing the song and we should have just played it over the montage.
Oh,
That's
what a
what I
waste
should have did.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Next time.
You don't want to hear my singing voice.
I will say
think we should.
I had kind of forgotten that this is almost a musical. Like the soundtrack plays so much into this whole movie. I was like, man, I don't remember there being this much music.
Yeah, when I was getting the slides for this thing, I'm looking down like I have 30 scenes of just fighting and montage music here.
Yeah, it's unfortunately that's one of the things that sucks about a lot of these 80s movies when we do them is that the soundtrack was so almost pure. It almost feels like the songs were curated specifically for the scene that they're doing. It's like that sequence from Basketball where they're in the car or he's in the car and the song is 100% talking about the scenario he's in. So like we can't play the scenes because it's all licensed music, unfortunately. But so basically, that's actually a really good back-to-back right there. I love that. That was but yeah, so then we have so this is Vidal versus Johnny, which is a Vidal would end up being brought back in Cobra Kai as the referee for the final match, the final tournament. And there's actually a lot of history with these two characters that they don't realize at this point because they haven't explained it yet. But Vidal was like the 1982 champion, and then, the 1981 champion. Then, and he beat Johnny in the finals. Then Johnny beat him in the 82 finals, and then the 83 finals. So they faced each other 3 times up to this point. This is the 4th time they're fighting each other. So there's a lot of history here that we don't even know about until a show that comes out 30 years later.
Why did they make this show? I know it obviously worked out really well for them, but it is kind of weird that so many years later they said, we're going to make a show that's going to perfectly explain everyone's backstory and really tie in very well with the universe.
So the show was birthed from that scene that you sent me when we were joking around, that from How I Met Your Mother. Like the concept was birthed from that because Barney having believing that he was that Johnny was robbed, and then basically Billy Zabka showed up in the final season of How I Met Your Mother and was played himself, and they just kind of came up with the idea for it from there. Supposedly, I mean that's supposedly the reasoning. I'm not sure about anything besides that.
I want to hope that's how it happened.
But Johnny basically beats the shit out of Vidal. Like it's 3-0. I am 12. And Bobby is instructed to just take Daniel out of commission, which he does. I think we have the clip though, right? Yeah, okay. Does this one doesn't have sound either, right?
No sound there.
Okay, so yeah, he's instructed to take him out of commission with
sweep the leg.
No, this sweep the leg is later. This is just kick the leg. I don't understand this rule at all because they even say it like he's disqualified for blatant excessive contact. Like,
Probably the jump part, like with football, how I could tackle
Yeah.
you, but I can't jump at you in the face.
yeah, it's a possibility. But essentially, that renders Daniel supposedly out of commission. But he goes back and Miyagi works some magic on him.
Another very important movie lesson. Risk.
I'm going to leave it at this one.
Risk crippling yourself for life in order to go win a competition for high school students.
Yeah,
About right.
yeah, exactly. I do it.
I mean, I don't have a meniscus in my left knee anymore because of jiu-jitsu. So
You could hear though, right? You don't need a meniscus.
a meniscus in my left knee has nothing to do with my ear.
I think.
Oh yeah.
Meniscus is the like jelly disc in the middle of your knee.
It's not a tinnitus.
That's so I had mine was torn to shreds. It was like this. It was like they were like, yeah, they just took. I think they left like 20% of it in because that's like the outer section. But I basically don't have a meniscus in my knee. It's one of the reasons I don't compete anymore because it's just anybody does anything to that leg and it's extremely painful. It's bone on bone. But this is a great still frame because of all the things that we've set up to this point. The grooming that was going on here, this whole movie between him and Daniel.
But on a serious note, though, is this like a real thing?
No, this is like bullshit that they just made up for the movie.
Remember, he did it to Daniel's arm earlier on in this thing, so I was kind of hoping this does have some history to it.
I mean, the theory is that he's like basically warming his hands and he's like able to like reset a bone or something. They actually do make fun of this in Cobra Kai. Was that season 2? One, where he goes to do it,
Daniel,
the whole thing, and he goes medic.
Oh
But,
my God,
I mean, it doesn't really work anyway, though, because he limps out and can barely walk on the leg anyway, as you can see right there.
I think it was
mind over matter.
Yeah, just getting back in the ring.
Yeah. This is the scene where he says sweep the leg. Because which I've always said, had they just gone with the regular plan and let Johnny do what he does, he would have won the fight. He was already a champion. He already had a set style. Him changing his style to accommodate what Kreese tells him, in my opinion, is the reason why he loses.
I think at this point it's more of a personal thing for his, I guess, sensei would be. Just that Miyagi is teaching Daniel so well. It's like, well, now I'm going to beat him and humiliate your child.
And a lot of people, so the sweep the leg is literally exactly what you have a picture of here. He just kicks it out and then kicks him in the face after that. So it's, a lot of people think that the sweep the leg is when he elbows it. No, this is actually the sweeping of the leg, which we do have a clip of the final little bit, I think. I just want to make sure. Also no sound for this one because we can't. But the famous crane kick, which I mean, I don't even understand how he would have done that. Like, he landing on his leg, because he puts his damaged leg down.
Does he?
Watch, watch.
He does, yeah.
Like he would have just fell over right there. I mean, granted, the kick would have still worked, but it is weird watching this like 3 times in a row. I feel like we're watching like an instant replay.
I like
on
how
ESPN.
I like how simple and practical this is, but then you see the Jackie Chan one, and it's like a spin-in reverse kick and some crazy Matrix stuff for no reason. It's like, this is just so simple and easy.
Isn't there a whole thing beforehand though where they keep talking about like no hits to the face or no kicks to the face or no hits to the face or something?
Yeah.
And then he wins by kicking, and he's still not down. It's not like it's a knockout or anything.
Well, it was the third point. They were tied 2-2. So
yeah. But my point is that if they've said repeatedly that hits to the other guy got disqualified for the leg kick, but Daniel doesn't get disqualified for kicking this guy in the face.
I don't think they read the rule book either.
I was gonna say
They just said,
they were
"What?
just
We're
like
having a cry."
they were just like rule of cool. He wins.
And it wasn't even like a discussion. The referee just went, "Winner, this guy."
And then, of course, Johnny hands the trophy with the famous line, "You're all right, LaRusso, you're all right." And we're just kind of told to forget about that when Cobra Kai comes around. Like this whole sequence kind of just gets ignored. And Miyagi is really happy with his work. Or he just farted, one or the other. That's the face of somebody who did one of those two things. I like to think it's the latter.
I'm very weirded out by the fact that Johnny got so enraged over being embarrassed by some water, but like he gets kicked in the face and he's like, "Yeah, okay, you're fine now. No more beef."
It's context. It's context. You go into that thing knowing you're gonna get hit. You don't go into the bathroom knowing someone's gonna hold a hose over your head.
No, but he also went in just expecting he was gonna like walk through the fight and that Daniel wasn't gonna make it to the finals, much less kick his ass. It's just
Buck,
it's
we
a
did
it's a very bizarre personality change.
Buck, we did Drunken Master, Legend of Drunken Master for Two Hose before. That was like well over a year ago though. It's in the lives. You can go through the channel, you can find it. But yeah, so of course, as our backstage stuff, I've heard nothing but like people tell me like Martin Kove is like the nicest person on the planet. So like everybody that I've ever met that met him said he's like the nicest person ever. But yeah, that was the Karate Kid, and I do actually have I brought it up once before, but that's me meaning I look older than the 60-year-old right there. That's all I have to say.
Wow, he's 60 in that?
Yeah, I think he's like 63 or something like that.
Oh, damn.
In real life, like I can look it up, but yeah, that was me meeting.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm gonna look. Well, I'll tell you what. While you guys give your final thoughts, we'll start with Goat on that one. I'm gonna see if I can find the intro to that cartoon. So, Goat, why don't you do me a favor and you give us your final thoughts on the movie?
Well, like I said, there were a lot of things that I didn't pick up on as a kid. I honestly, when I was really small, I found the whole scene about Miyagi being drunk like kind of confusing. There's a lot of subtleties there. There's a lot of information there that I was like 6 or something, so it kind of was really over my head. And going back and watching it as an adult after so long, that really has a lot more weight to it. And I think I really appreciated more the avoidance of some of those tropes. Like it felt like every movie in the 80s had, bullies and kids moving across country and everything was terrible and the only thing that's good is like the screaming girl that's like useful for nothing. And so even though it's kind of the same basic 80s storyline, I really appreciate the differences in this movie to some of those more, just because, man, if you binge watched a whole lot of 80s movies, it would get real old real fast. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I did find some things funny in hindsight that were completely over my head as a kid. I found some things kind of eye-rolling that I did not understand were eye-rolling when I was a kid. So it's always fun going back and seeing something 20 years later, 30 years later that you haven't seen for a long time, and just kind of seeing how it matches up to your memory of it. So, good movie.
Okay. Sylvia.
Yeah, I'd say it holds up pretty well. I always have my screenwriting cap on, so for me, I would have given the screenplay needed another rewrite quick. Like I would have shortened the beginning and shuffled a couple scenes around that we already discussed. But other than that, it's pretty good. In my head, as a kid, I remember this movie like No Retreat, No Surrender. I thought it's much cornier and cheesier. like No Retreat and No Surrender, where I don't know if you ever saw that one. It was also
I've seen it, yeah.
So I thought it's like gonna be like that, but it's actually a legit drama, more than a martial arts movie. It's like a martial arts movie attached to a drama, and but yeah, it holds up really well. I'm actually happy they developed the whole lore around it further with Cobra Kai, because that was one
I'm
of
just
my
a little
favorite shows.
worried that they're going to keep doing it now.
Yeah,
'cause I've
they
heard,
will.
Yeah,
They will. Until
absolutely.
as long as it stops printing money, they will.
yeah.
They'll keep going. But yeah, I liked it.
Chuck, our special guest of the day.
Oh yeah. No, I just loved how like it just further shows like how much like hard work will just pay off just with the constant muscle memory, like you said, doing the chores, and it helps you like in the long run. And I just love that fact that they went further into it with Cobra Kai and kind of showed like the reasons why Johnny did the things he did, even though it was a little bit crazy, and the fact that he got redeemed at the end. Loved it. That's pretty much it.
I actually found an episode of the cartoon. So after me and Joe do our thing, I'm gonna pull it. I'll move. I don't know how much of this I can show, but I'll try. It's like a real shitty copy. It looks like somebody held a camera to their V8, like to a old cathode ray tube television. So we'll go with that. But Joe, what is your last thoughts on the movie?
I think it was obviously no script is perfect though, but I think a lot of this is really smartly done. Just with Miyagi showing him, okay, just the simplest task. Later on, muscle memory plays into it. Johnny, of course, one of the greatest villains of all time. And the universe that it created afterwards, and you really don't see that with a lot of things. I mean, how many did they make after this? There were two.
So there was two more in the Daniel storyline. Then there was the next Karate Kid. Right? No, the fourth one was someone else. That was Hilary Swank.
That's right. Dropped off.
That one didn't work out well. It just wasn't a good movie. It was not well written. Then if you count the remake as now no longer being a remake, just being in the universe. Then obviously Cobra Kai, which had 6 seasons, and the latest one, which is Legends. So, and that comes out in like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
so now you're talking about like 6 total movies and 6 seasons of a television show. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna say not many things today. Maybe dare I say Lord of the Rings though? Possibly.
Well, I would say that the only other thing that kind of has like obviously you have like Star Wars did that. They did multiple movies and then television shows, but that was a much different. This was a much lower key thing, and it kicked off a lot of the karate craze for kids in the 80s and 90s. So it did a lot for that. It's really like the teenagers Rocky. That's really what it is. Which I mean, it makes sense. It was directed by the same person.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Avildsen did both.
Oh, cool.
That being said, my final thoughts are pretty much everything everyone said, but it's one of my go-to movies whenever I just want to, I don't want to, I want a good pick-me-up. It's a good movie to go to. I loved it when I was younger, and as I got more into Cobra Kai, I learned to appreciate it more. I actually really like, did we lose Chuck? I'll let him back in a minute.
What just happened?
There he is. I don't know.
I don't know what just happened.
It happens from time to time. But as I watched Cobra Kai, I learned to appreciate the movies more. I still the second one is pretty good. The third one is like comically good. Like they bring in Terry Silver, who's basically like a comic book villain. It's I still like the third one. And then but yeah, it's movies that I can go back to. And even though it's 2 hours plus long, it doesn't feel that long. It like when you're watching it, there's a couple moments that it kind of slows down, but it doesn't feel like an over 2 hour movie. So let me pull this up. I might get us kicked off of this. Let me clear some of this stuff first, so that way I can see where it is. Let's see. So let me right about there should be fine. Let's see if everybody can hear. Let me make sure that I did it right because I need to have the sound. Let me hold on. Share screen. Okay, I do have the sound enabled. Okay, let's see what this is. Oh, okay. I don't remember the intro. Yeah, it's like, look, it's like.
No, we just see you.
You didn't share the screen.
Oh, I didn't share the screen?
Yeah.
Oh. I thought I did. Oh, maybe there we go.
It is now. Yep.
Okay, there we go. Quick.
Oh my god, sorry.
He wasn't that good.
Hold on. It's like, what is this shit?
So they turn it. It's like the Jackie Chan cartoon. It's like an adventure show.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like most 80s cartoons,
Yeah.
to be perfectly honest.
I have a feeling we're gonna get like ripped down eventually.
I mean, you can.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move into like random parts.
When it is said, you can release.
Oh, there's a Keebler. Someone left the commercials in this one. Here we go.
Ishida? Karate chop him, Daniel. He's come to crash our party. Hush, Toshio. Yoshi is a friend. He hates the
Why did we do the movie when we could have just done this?
I mean, we could. Let's see. Yeah, it's a shameless cash grab.
Wow.
lowly peasants.
Wow.
I take my leave, but I will return.
This is just one episode of the cartoon.
Okay, that horse right there looks almost identical to the motion that the horse in the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon used to make in the 80s. Like that shot, the art is so similar.
Well, I've seen that with Disney where they have a couple of different movies where it has the exact same animation. So they might have, if it's made by the same company, they might have done it like that.
Well, I mean, the horse in in Dungeons and Dragons is black, but like the motion and the way they have it doing the Winnie is identical. Like it has
I also
to have been
found
the
this
same art
one.
team.
I also found this one. This is the action figure commercial, which is hilarious too.
Remember what Miyagi said.
Karate, come from heart.
I will show no mercy.
These kids are really into this shit.
With Karate Kid tri-action figures.
Concentrate, Daniel-san.
They chop, twist, and kick. The Karate Kid and Johnny are each sold separately. And for more action, look for the Karate Kid Competition Center from Remco.
It doesn't do the crane kick?
No, but what I loved about that was that the kids were like really invested in what's going to happen with this this tournament of toys. Oh man, but yeah,
I'm surprised. I'm surprised they didn't put out a second toy that is just the crane kick. Like that's
you
the
would
only
think
move
they
it does.
would, right?
But yeah, I mean, I just figured I'd show those, just to show the ridiculousness of what they tried to do. But yeah, that pretty much leaves us with everybody's favorite segment, and that is now time for. It's time to plug your shit. This is where you tell us where you've been, where you're going, where we can find you, what you have planned next, and all of that. So, who should we start with? We'll start with Xavier.
Yeah, you can find me at Narrative Arcade. I do mostly breakdowns from a screenwriting perspective, and I do have upcoming the Doom Eternal game and the Doom Dark Ages game breakdowns, how you can improve Doom Eternal, and hopefully I hope they like the stories in Doom were never its strong suit, so I hope with the Dark Ages game they kind of improved on everything.
Doom 3 was pretty solid. Doom 3 had that was like the only one that really
yeah, but it also went in a completely different direction. With they revitalized everything with the new series, so I hope with Dark Ages they hit the nail on the head. And over the summer I do have planned a Cobra Kai video, because for me Cobra Kai represents what Disney's sequel trilogy should have been. Like it should have been all about passing the torch to a new generation of Jedi, and then you can even incorporate a little bit of Luke's doubts and everything. And yeah, so that's gonna come up in the summer when I find some time for it. We'll see.
I had considered doing a Cobra Kai video, but like I didn't want to go back and talk about too much of the older stuff with it, and it was because I didn't want to just do a season 6 video.
Same. That's why I said I'll combine it with that, because in my Last Jedi video, I actually already mentioned it that Cobra Kai did everything what Disney should have done as well. Yeah,
I'll definitely check that one out for sure. Goat, what do you got coming up?
Not a ton. I'm in the process of working on a bunch of long-term projects. Short-term, we have Slice and Dice on Wednesdays from 6 to 8 Eastern Standard Time. We talk about tabletop role-playing games, board games, mainly ones that people have never heard of for people who are looking alternatives to WotC these days. Long-term projects I'm working on. I am working on a review. I'm not sure what he's showing, but
I was showing Boosh that it's not vodka, it's tequila.
So I am working on History of Zombie Movies, which I hope to be out at the same time as 28 Years Later. I am not going to compete with big channels on trying to review that, so I'm just going to talk about all the movies that got us that far. I'm doing a review of a game called Through the Breach pretty soon. They were kind enough to send me a bunch of their books for review, so that hopefully will be taking place the end of this month. And other than that, in kind of the more real-world side of things, I recently finished doing an edit of a role-playing game for the Real Life Fake Wizard, if anyone is familiar with him, for his soon-to-be-published game Pretend. And this morning before this, I was in talks with Postmortem Studios, which is another game company out of the UK, to potentially take on a contract for them. So I'm also sort of slowly transitioning from editing novels and newsletters for companies to doing games, which is awesome because they're a lot more fun.
I just want to highlight this one more time. So, fun fact, it's actually a trait of like all of the guys in my family were able to catch flies out of midair. It's like a legit thing. My dad can do it. My brother can do it. I can do it. All my uncles can do it. Like we just follow the pattern and we could get them. I was rolling once at, I was in a jiu-jitsu roll and I saw what I thought was a fly in my peripheral vision. And I went like that and I caught it while I was going. And all of a sudden I realized I grabbed a yellow jacket bee out of midair and it was stinging the shit out of my hand, or like a yellow jacket wasp out of my, and it was stinging like my whole hand, but my whole palm was just like.
That's why you're supposed to use chopsticks.
Yeah, I should have used the chopsticks. But the guy that I was rolling with, all of a sudden, because he didn't even see me catch it. He just saw me starts yelling and just throw my hand out and go, fuck. And he was like, what just happened? And I had to explain what happened. It's weird because it's like, I can only do it with that. Like, I can't really, it's just a weird reflex thing that we have. My father was really good. One time I caught 2 in one and I was fucking, and no one saw me do it. It sucked. So I was like walking around like, guys, I'm going to open my hand. There's 2 flies in here, I swear. But yeah, but I definitely check out Goat's game show. By the way, I was on there recently. If you're into tabletop games and stuff, that is, I don't know if anyone is doing what you're doing, to be honest with you. Like,
or if you're just geeky enough to really like obscure breakdowns of the movies that nobody else talks about.
I mean, that was yeah. I mean, I like your series on like The Book is Better. So that one's, you haven't really done one of those recently though, have you?
I did the Green Mile a few months ago. I've been trying to decide what to do next. I'm kind of leaning towards Watership Down, except I'm afraid that nobody reads that book anymore, even though it's like one of the greatest children's books ever made.
How was that a children's book?
It is
That's
technically...
all the rabbits die in that one?
Very few rabbits die in that one.
I'm thinking about a movie then. I'm thinking of something different.
Oh, the movie is definitely gruesome.
Yeah.
And the book is not for young children, but it is written as a children's book.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm sort of struggling as to what I'm gonna do next, because most people's suggestions have been to do another Stephen King book, and I don't really want to do that. I'd like to I'd like to sprinkle out the terrible Stephen
Just
King
write
movies.
just write a whole video on how he decided that it was a good idea to have an underage orgy in it, and you'll probably get a shit ton of clicks on that. I'm not gonna lie. People make fun of that the fact that he did that in the book so much.
Do we ever have a reason of why he thought that was essential to the plot?
Yeah,
Because he was
can you imagine?
Because he was on a lot of cocaine at the time.
Yeah, but imagine the person that he has to tell that idea to, and they're like, "Huh, okay, I guess we'll put this in there."
Well, part of the issue is that he became like the king of horror because that was back when people were willing to have horror that actively made them very uncomfortable. And he was willing to write stuff that would make you uncomfortable in ways that other authors were not willing to do.
I can see that, yes.
And a lot of that involved injuries or discussions of sexuality in teenagers or injury to small children. Those were areas that most authors were not and will not now go. And yet it's the thing that makes us the most uncomfortable, which is what horror used to be, was things that would actually make us uncomfortable.
And clowns make people uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, but nowadays, like somebody actually told me the other day that horror is supposed to be like controlled fear, and you shouldn't have to actually feel really uncomfortable for horror. And I was like, well, that seems to defeat the purpose of actual horror.
I heard a great joke, and I wish I could tell you which comedian it was. I don't remember. I wish I could give him credit for this, but he said, everybody hates like scary clowns. Like nobody's here but so therefore a lot of people really don't like it, the character of it. But you know who really doesn't like it? Actual clowns stuck in storm drains. Look, you don't understand. This is going to sound really weird, but I need your help. I wish I knew which comedian it was. But once again, thank you for coming on, Goat. It's always great to have you on.
Thank you for the invite.
Chucksenhausen, you're not really a YouTuber, but what you could just use this time for whatever you want to say, basically.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be working at the locksmith shop and probably working out, strongman stuff, playing poker on the weekends. That's just what I do.
So if you need someone to lift something really heavy from in front of a locked door that you can't open, Chucksenhausen is the only person capable of doing both of those things at once. So
yeah,
I've seen some of your pictures and clips and stuff of your strongman that you've been putting in work, man. No.
Thanks. Yeah, I've been taking
it was great to have you on, though.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. I enjoyed this.
But yeah, and maybe if we do like Karate Kid 2, I'll bring you in for that. I don't know when I'll do that though, because there's no room on the schedule for the rest of the year, so maybe I'll work it in at some point. But you message me all the time and stuff. I call you a super fan for a reason. You were one of the first people to support my channel, and you continue to this day. And that's an invaluable thing to me. Someone who I can't answer people as much as I used to, because obviously I'm booking the show and I have a lot of people, but I try to get back to everybody I can. And Chuck is usually pretty good with that. Like sometimes he'll message me, I won't get back to him for like a week, but it's something. When Cobra Kai was going, I was messaging you like every episode. I was like, yeah, it's going. Joe, I guess that just leaves you and me, buddy.
All right, well, in honor of Johnny, the real hero of this movie, I'm going to be bullying a lot of people on the internet this week. Collider has blessed me with some amazing articles about the new female Silver Surfer is not only good, but better than the original. The 12-year-old Princess Leia's actress pitches a Leia TV show spinoff, and Eddie Redmayne runs his mouth. So it's going to be a fun week of just taking shots of celebrities on the internet. So that's where I'm at my channel.
I'm probably gonna do a video. I'm really, really hoping that Karate Kid Legends is good. I not only for because I like the series, I really want to do a video on a good film that I'm covering for a little while. I haven't done one in a while. I think the last good film that I did was like Godzilla -1. So you're talking a long time ago.
Been a while, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that it's good. You know, it's gonna be one of the it's one or the other. It's not gonna be in between. It's not gonna be okay. I have a feeling it's either gonna be really good or really bad.
Is it the same writers?
I have no idea, actually.
Well, because
I haven't really started doing that research yet.
Yeah.
But that's probably my next video. I will also then eventually cover Ironheart, which I know will be bad. That's why I kind of want to do a good thing first, because I'm going right into like this year's Acolyte after that. And then eventually, you know, more comic book stuff, because I like to cover that. But we'll be here. I think our next show is a late night one, though, if I recall correctly. Let me take a look real quick. It's one of our primetime shows. Yeah, American Psycho on the 23rd. So we're going to be doing that. It's going to be a Despot of Antrim and a couple of other people. I just closed it, so I don't know. But yeah, that's where you can find us. And other than that, that just leaves me to say thank you to the audience. Thank you to my guests. Thank you to my co-host, who's on this side of me, not on this side. It's reverse. But yeah, you can see us not next week, in 2 weeks, on right back here. And see everybody later.
Take care.